This is.
Luke Riley does it again. The Mariners are right back in it.
And where 100-plus mile-an-hour game-over magic is.
Munoz strikes out the side, and the ball game is over.
It's T-Mobile Park, where Seattle is. Mariners baseball. Try it and sup.
The Mariners are back in town this week for a 9-game homestand, and the action gets started with 3 straight value games. You can snag seats for as little as $10 tonight and tomorrow night against the Padres and Thursday night against the Rangers. Go to Mariners.com to get your tickets and check out all that's on deck at T-Mobile Park during the final stretch of the regular season.
How would you like to have a brand new roof in time for winter? And even better, how about an honest local contractor known for their quality work? If you use Asset Roofing, you will have both. I can personally recommend Asset Roofing. Now through winter, if you need your roof replaced, make sure you get a bid from Asset Roofing. Get a free estimate now at AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
O'Brien Auto Group has some of the best new car brands in the Northwest. Those great new vehicles make the best pre-owned vehicles as well. O'BrienAutoGroup.com for the best factory certified vehicles. O'BrienAutoGroup.com for a large selection of the best pre-owned cars and trucks. O'BrienAutoGroup.com. Choose from hundreds of SUVs, trucks, hybrids, EVs, and more. O'BrienAutoGroup.com. One site is all you need. That's OBRIEN Autogroup.com.
O'Brien.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
Did you know that most people wait 6 or 7 years before they buy a new TV? That's a lot of time in front of one TV. So why not get one of the best sets for the next 7 years, like one of the top-rated Samsung, LG, or Sony models? Too expensive? What if you could get up to $1,000 trade-in for your old set? Who would do a stupid deal like this? Right now, at Video Only, you can get big bucks for your old set as a trade-in and a hot price on the new models. Don't be sorry. Check out Video Only.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Kraken have announced a 4-year extension with defenseman Adam Larson. Larson was headed into the final season of a 4-year, $16 million deal signed with Seattle back in 2021. The Mariners are back in action today after an off day yesterday. They open a series against the San Diego Padres at 6:40 p.m.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Happy Tuesday. We are going on Mariners at 1 p.m. for the dugout. Before we get to it, we got 2 things to talk about. One, what was and wasn't real from the Seahawks Week 1 win. You can join that conversation on the Mac and Jack's text line, 866-979-3776. 2, first and foremost, Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus today. Hi, Curtis.
Hey, Stace.
You have a story that you wanted to share that I've been so eager to hear. You were out yesterday.
I was.
What happened?
So yesterday was our oldest daughter, Willa. She's 3 years old. It was her first day of preschool. So big day with the Rogers family. take pictures, get her dressed up in her pretty little dress with apples on it. She's got her frilly socks on.
Adorable.
Just adorable.
I have the same outfit.
You do, yeah. you were going to wear it yesterday.
Yeah, but then I decided to let it be Willa's day.
Exactly. So we are getting out of the house. Her class starts in about 15 minutes from when we were leaving the house. It's really close by to where we live. Brenna, my wife, wanted to stop and take a couple of pictures in front of the fence that's in front of our house, just, to commemorate the moment. And we get caught up in taking all these pictures, and we're about to get into the car. Brenna goes, "Did you grab the keys?" I said, "I did not," because I was carrying Blair, our youngest, who's 1, and does not handle stairs very well. So I'm
still trying.
Yeah, still figuring those out. So I'm holding Blair, and I did not grab the keys. And based off of that questioning, I deducted that Brenna did not grab the keys. And we are now locked out of our house. No! We are locked out of our house. We have to get to her preschool in 15 minutes. What do we do here? And we do not have a spare key like under our mat or anything like that.
I have my answer, but I will withhold it.
We have made a colossal mistake. Okay. But Brenna remembers that we left our bedroom window cracked open a little bit just to get some fresh air in.
I know exactly
and
where this is going.
Luckily, we live in a 1-story house. We are ground level. The problem is it's on a slight hill. So our bedroom window, I would say, is probably like 9 to 10 feet off the ground, which is you got to climb to get up there. Yeah, so I try to get up there just scaling the wall myself, or scaling the side of the house. Wasn't happening. Brenna asked me to propel her up. Did not happen. What do we do in that situation?
Throw your child in the window.
Willa Rogers, get on up there, get in the house, and then she landed on her bed, and then I could hear her getting really nervous because she's in a dark house all by herself. But she knows how to unlock our front door. She knows how to unlock the deadbolt, and she can do all that. So I just hear her just kind of whimpering to herself and just kind of like, and I'm like, "You got it. Keep going."
Did you guys launch her through the window?
No, I just picked her up by her side and just kind of plopped her into our bedroom. And so she was able to be the hero of the day. She made it all the way to the front door of the house, unlocked it. We got the keys. We made it to preschool on time.
Good job, Willa.
Yeah, she was incredible that day. I've never been more proud of Willa in that moment. She was so cool, calm, and collected, even in the face of something that she had never experienced before.
There are Hall of Fame quarterbacks who have struggled against that kind of pressure.
Right.
But Willa Rogers did not. She stepped up in the pocket. She took a step forward, and she delivered.
She
did. And I am so proud of her. Talk about an important that's the most important lesson she had that day.
It was.
Forget whatever happened at school.
After she had made it through the house, we were telling her, like, this is the toughest thing that you'll have to face today. I know you're nervous about school, but that's going to be a breeze compared to what you just did.
Oh, God, that's amazing.
And she had a great day at preschool. That's what her teacher said when we went to pick her up. Well, she was phenomenal.
Congratulations to Willa Rogers and the Rogers family for not just making it through a big moment, but also having a wonderful first day of preschool. I love, just a final recommendation before we get to our actual conversations, if you guys can find on YouTube or whatever streaming service, like videos of people who need their kids to unlock cars and houses, it is some of the funniest content. It's trying to direct, or dogs, basically trying to direct toddlers and dogs to open or unlock doors. Hilarious.
That was the thing, is that I knew there was going to be a point where the further away from our bedroom window she would get, the less she would hear our voice kind of directing her. So I was like, it's in God's hands now.
Has the opposite ever happened where she's ever shut the door and locked you out? Because Derek told me, Derek's mom told me that when he was younger, she raised 2 boys, so a much more chaotic experience than you and Brenna have with 2 girls, that her oldest son, she walked out to get the cat, which had walked outside, and she turned around to walk back in. And the oldest son, looking at her, he's a toddler, looking at her, just shuts the door, and the door has glass on it, and then he shuts the blinds of the door.
That's adding insult to injury.
Truly.
Like, you are locked out, and now you can't even see what I'm about to do.
So Will has never locked you guys
No,
out. She's
she's
only
not.
ever been a hero.
Right.
Love that for her journey.
Her villain origin story has not yet happened.
Willow,
yet.
we're all very proud of you. I
Yes.
know you aren't a regular listener to the Bump and Stacy show, or she calls it the Bump and Stinky show?
Dump and Stinky.
Dump and Stinky. I'll never forgive you guys for teaching her that. All right, let's talk about what was and wasn't real from the Seahawks Week 1 win. I have two stats, one that I think is not real, one that I think is. Both are good. I just want to pump the brakes on one of them. But what to you, Curtis, when you look back at this game, did you find yourself saying, I'm really excited about this, and then I'm pumping the brakes on this?
It's got to be the defense first and foremost of what people are most excited for. I mean, and yes, it was Bo Nix, sure. It was his first career start, but the communication, there just wasn't the same mistakes we saw over and over again in the final years of Pete Carroll's tenure here. They got off the field. There was not, those back-breaking third-down conversions that kept drives alive. I was thoroughly pleased with what I saw Sunday from that defense. And I think that I don't know if they're going to be able to replicate that performance week in and week out because it was just so sound. It was so solid. But if that is what they can look like for the most part this season, you're talking about a team that I think could definitely challenge for a wild card spot.
Is your next one about the offense?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go next because both of mine are about the defense.
Here we go.
So I went for stats. So completely related to the defense, I felt the exact same way where Bump and I talked yesterday about feeling like we were looking forward to a defensive series. And when they came out in the second half, Bump was like, I was thinking, oh, thank God the defense is on the field. Like, it took all of one half of football for us to completely do a 180 on our confidence level in the defense. We will see what they look like against the New England Patriots and most especially against the Miami Dolphins in Week 3 and on the road against Detroit. Weeks 3 and 4 are going to be really tough. I haven't even looked beyond that because 1 week at a time, you know what I mean?
Right,
but,
that's how we live our lives.
But I know you got the 49ers.
It ramps up. Yeah, I think they've got a game against Buffalo, too.
It's tough early.
Yeah.
So I have two defensive stats. One I think is not real. One I think could be real. The one I think is not real, 3.3 yards allowed per play. That was the second best among defenses in Week 1. Basically, you didn't allow the Broncos to go anywhere when they actually completed passes and ran the ball. Like, when they had completed offensive plays, they averaged about 3.5 yards. That's not nearly enough, and it's horrible. And it's a phenomenal defensive performance, but last year, the very best defense in this category allowed 4.6.
So what you're saying is the Seahawks are not going to be a record-setting defense?
You didn't hear me say anything.
Yeah. Is that just me making assumptions?
But what I'm saying is statistically, it is incredibly unlikely that you stick to even under 4 yards allowed per play.
You don't think they're going to be a yard and a half better than the best defense was in 2023?
My gut right now says no, but who knows?
Hey,
you know what I mean?
There's a lot of season left.
The world's your oyster, Mike McDonald. However, the Seattle Seahawks last year allowed 5.5 yards per play, so that 3.3 being a full 2+ yards better. If you even finish with 5 yards per play, you would be around the middle of the pack, kind of just ahead of the bottom third of the league, and that would be a monumental step forward. Another stat I want to combine with this is from the Associated Press, Bo Nix's 5.3 yards per completion was the third lowest of any quarterback who completed at least 20 passes per game. So not only did you really limit the Broncos offensively when they actually finished out a run or completed a pass, Bo Nix's actual pass attempts were very short. And so you're just not going to have an offense that looks like this, much less a defensive performance like this. So really loved it. Something to feel really good about. You are currently tied for the second best defense in the league in this category. It just will not stay there.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to replicate this week in and week out. But, and like you said, Stacey, Bo Nix's throws were not ones that were going to test Seattle's defense much. And when he did throw down the field, he had the interception to Rick Woolen. Also, there was Julian Love, too, in the end zone. So the times that he did sort of, get loose a little bit, it came back to bite him. And the Seahawks quality of quarterback that they face will ramp up. Even though Jacoby Brissett, I think, is a career backup, I would still put him as a better quarterback right now than Bo Nix.
Well, and importantly, what's going to happen in week 2 is that you are going to face a run game that looked really solid in week 1.
Ramondre Stevenson was incredible on Sunday.
So Ramondre Stevenson with 120 yards on 25 carries. Really important to note this about what the Patriots did in week 1. They remember when the Seahawks had George Fant the first time around and they would do that jumbo tight end package?
Oh, yeah.
That's basically what the Patriots did on almost 20 snaps in this game. They brought out one of their rookie tackles. His name's Caden Wallace. And they had him at basically ineligible. They had him at tight end, essentially. And they used that to really bolster their run game. So Seattle will see that in week 2. They will be tested in week 2 against the run. That being said, filed under what I think was real are the run game improvements.
Yeah.
99 yards allowed, and that includes 30-something from Bo Nix, so about 64 yards coming from running backs. That would have been your 6th best performance last year. And I actually think that is a genuine step forward. What about you?
God, that would be music to everybody's ears, not seeing the Seahawks get gashed in the run game, because there's just something so devastating when a guy breaks off a big run. I think more so than a big pass, because it's just really? You could have had him at the line of scrimmage. Yeah. Whereas a big pass play, it's really up for grabs when the ball is coming down. It can go either way. So great to see, like you said, the Seahawks run defense just really put the clamps down on them. And, Bo Nix was their leading carrier on Sunday. The thing that I am feeling on the offensive side of the ball, Geno Smith. I think even in the face of danger, still was able to have an efficient day. Yes, he had the interception on his first throw of the game, but really shook that off, managed to really, sit in there and make some good throws. Even with the tough first half, he finished with QBR of 72.2. I believe 100 is a perfect game. So still had a really solid effort despite running for his life most of the first half. Great to see him stand more upright thanks to the offensive line in the second half. But I really liked what I saw out of Geno Smith. I know there are people that are texting in and listening right now and be like, only 171 yards and an interception. It's but he was under duress a lot on Sunday.
Yeah, Brady Henderson said Geno was under pressure in 47% of his dropbacks, which his high last season, it was 30-something% last season, and he was the 7th highest. So being under pressure on almost 40% of your dropbacks is a wild number. And they are going to need to look at this offensive line and try to shore up what they can heading into week 2, because the Patriots defense, Bump pointed out that Paul Moyer said, the Patriots got lucky in a lot of ways against the Bengals. The Bengals had some drops and had some mistakes and had some costly penalties. But that Patriots defense last year was still a top 10 unit in terms of limiting opponent yardage. They were quietly good, particularly in the second half. So Geno and that offensive line will get a different kind of test than they had against the Broncos, who had some weaknesses, frankly. For instance, Geno and them were able to exploit starting corner Riley Moss, who was getting his first time starting. We were hoping he'd hold it down.
Right. Holding it down for those of us out there. But when I'm looking at just the preparations for this Patriots game, I'm trying to figure out too, they beat a good Bengals team. I think the Bengals are going to make some noise in the AFC this year with a healthy Joe Burrow, and he's got Jamar Chase to throw to and whatnot. But week 1 is always a liar, as they say. And I'm is this Patriots team going to be better than what we think? Because so many people have pegged this Patriots team as a team that is going to be in the running for the number 1 pick this year.
Which they should, because the Patriots clearly don't think they're going to be the best team, or they wouldn't have traded one of their best defensive players.
Right. Yeah, Matthew Judon before the season started. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe the Bengals just had a bad day against the Patriots or whatnot, because the Seahawks have to get this win on Sunday because, like you said, Stacey, the schedule difficulty ramps up significantly over the next about month or so. They do have that game against the Giants, but then you've got a road game against the Lions. You've got a home game against the Dolphins. It is not going to be easy once you get past probably mid-September for the Seahawks. So you've got to stack your wins now if you want to have a real shot at making the playoffs and not let this NFC West race get out from underneath you.
I've already seen a couple people saying they're now going to call us dump and stinky, and I don't think I'll ever forgive you.
Look, the text line, they love it.
Can we get Willa saying it's dump and stinky as a drop?
I think I've got a video of her saying it. We can roll that.
Like if the show's
system.
on, she goes dump and stinky.
Yeah, and what I love about that too is that it was unprompted. We were just sitting in the car one day talking about the show, my wife and I, and Willa out of nowhere. Dumpin' stinky.
What's one of the funniest things Will has ever said unprompted, where you guys still say to each other, or anyone on the text line if you have one, where it's like your toddler said something where you and your partner still say it to each other?
So
it's the funniest thing.
Our neighbor, she will just kind of let her dogs run wild, and she tries to get them back in the house by like yelling their names out, and her dogs don't listen. They're not trained. They're just crazy little yappy dogs. And we had our screen door open one day, and Willa hears our neighbor yelling for their dogs, and Willa just goes, "Get your dogs!" We're like, listen, sweetie pie,
look,
I get that it's
she wrong?
Annoying. Yeah,
is
but,
she wrong?
Right, but we can't just say that to people.
No, you should take advantage of being a toddler, and you can say whatever it is you want before you're grown, and people are going to be like, that's rude.
Yeah.
Mind your business. Let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
49ers beat the brakes off the Jets 32-19 on Monday Night Football. What's the real headline?
You know, I don't know that the Seahawks can take the Mariners' approach of just hoping the best team in your division falls off.
That's right. There were a lot of people thinking the 49ers might take a step back this season just based off of the amount of significant losses that they've taken over the last couple of years, but they looked really good, and they looked really good without Christian McCaffrey.
And I thought this was weird. So obviously the rest of the fantasy football world did not know Christian McCaffrey would not be playing in this one. He was still part of the graphic for the game. Then we found out that this may have been something the team knew as early as Friday.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to fantasy football owners.
I feel bad for Jordan Mason, the backup running back, who had a phenomenal game, but no one remembers that now based off of his post-game comments. But was this more about how good the 49ers looked or how bad the Jets looked? Because I think the Jets do not look like a playoff team.
How bad the Jets looked to me. The defense initially for the Jets looked really solid, and maybe it's because at one point C.J. Mosley got hurt and had to leave the game. Sauce Gardner got hurt and left the game, and then for some reason there was like a report from the sideline that he wasn't actually hurt but still hadn't re-entered the game. Just some weirdness defensively for the Jets. Breece Hall couldn't get going, and maybe the story for the Jets is what they couldn't get done on offense. Breece Hall should be phenomenal. I was fully expecting this to be actually one of the better run games in football, and they didn't look great early, so we'll see what they look like. And that's also against a 49ers defense that was not good against the run late last year. So we'll see whether or not Aaron Rodgers and Breece can kind of get going. I thought Garrett Wilson looked good. I thought there were moments where the Jets shined, but this defense is supposed to be so much better. They've got playmakers, Pro Bowlers at all three levels, and they were just eaten up.
It wasn't even close last night. Like
No.
The 49ers looked leaps and bounds better than this Jets team. I wonder how hot Robert Saleh's seat might get here. If the Jets start off 0-2, 1-3.
Look, there is a certain point where you start to wonder if you've had so much talent come through your doors, when is it the coach?
Right.
And that's not to say Robert Saleh wasn't brilliant as a defensive coordinator at one point with the 49ers. And it's also not to say that he went to an organization that's historically found success, but neither did Dan Campbell. And look where he had the Lions last year.
Headline rewrites.
The Mariners sit just 3 games back Minnesota for the final wildcard spot, heading into a pivotal 9-game homestand that starts tonight. What's the real headline?
They're going to get our hopes up, aren't they?
Feels like it.
I am back to believing. I regret to inform you, I will be absolutely watching every single one of these games, expecting them to win.
The Twins cannot get out of their own way. They've lost 4 straight, and now the Mariners, have 9 in a ballpark where they have been a significantly better team than they are on the road. The Mariners' offense has looked a little bit better here. We'll talk about that coming up in this hour, but it feels like they're just following the script of every Mariners season over the last 4 or 5 years, where it's like, hey, if they're just a couple games out heading into that final homestand of the year, maybe, just maybe, if things break their way.
One thing that's happening right now that I did not expect to break, though, I didn't expect, and I don't think that the Mariners offense will fix itself. I also did not expect so many American League wildcard teams to slip at the same time. So I thought it was going to be win the West or don't get in at all. Looks like you could get 2 teams from the West, potentially, which I was fully not expecting. A couple responses from listeners when we were talking about funny things that your toddlers say. Seth in Fresno says, my 6-year-old with autism yells 2 things while upset. One is, please subscribe, as in subscribe to my YouTube. The other is, help me, which goes over well when you're leaving the park. Someone else said, the 206, when our toddler's annoyed with you, she adds, gosh, to the end of her sentences. I don't want that. Gosh. Oh, God.
Headline rewrites.
The Steelers are planning to start Justin Fields in Week 2 against the Broncos, meaning Russell Wilson will miss his return to Denver. That's the real headline.
It's funny because historically Russell Wilson has been bad at avoiding pressure.
That's right.
Ducking it this time.
Yeah, boy. He does have the excuse of being injured, but I wonder if we'll see Russell Wilson under center for the Steelers at all this season.
Yeah, because I don't think that Justin Fields will stay as a wildly competitive starter. It's the same reason I don't think we're going to see Gardner Minshew under center for all 17 games this year. I think that those 2 teams in particular will have more than one starting quarterback throughout the season.
Yes, the Steelers' future, I think, is more tied to Justin Fields' production than it is to Russell Wilson. I think the Steelers signed Russell Wilson basically saying, if we can get anything close to what he was in Seattle, this is a great signing for us. And if it doesn't work out, they've only flushed, $1 million?
Yeah.
This will have zero impact on them going forward if Russell Wilson does not see the field this season.
2 questions thrown your way. Number 1, you think Mike Tomlin sees his first sub-500 season?
I mean, he's already off to a 1-0 start. I think somehow, some way, this Steelers team finishes with a winning record, which is a testament to his ability to get the most out of his team, because that AFC North is no joke.
Number 2, I have never seen such a quick turnaround in terms of naming your starter and then immediately being comfortable rolling with someone else. When you name your starter, typically, because a quarterback carousel is bad for a locker room. You want guys to have faith in one guy, and you don't want a split. You don't want half the locker room with one dude and half of them with someone else. So you usually stick with your guy, and it'll take a couple bad games before you go, all right, we got to get this guy out. Do you think they ever actually intended to keep Russ as the starter for more than even a game? Because it's so wild to go from he's the starter, it was a really tough decision, to, yeah, we're really comfortable with Justin playing, to, and Justin didn't ball out, but to Justin's the guy.
I hadn't thought of that. I will say, though, Russell Wilson, nice trade chip for Pittsburgh to have. If you're a quarterback needy team, come trade deadline time, wouldn't hurt to dangle him. But yeah, I think this is Justin Fields' team. Like you said, you've said it a lot too, because
I'm smart.
Yeah, right. You know ball. You're a certified ball knower. Once you make a decision at quarterback, you really can't go back to the old guy.
You are listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app, a.k.a. Dump and Stinky. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus today. Is a simpler approach paying off at the plate for the Mariners? That's next.
The Mike McDonald Show, the first word from the head coach after every Seahawks game.
How do you feel like you can manage that as D coordinator and head coach?
I have to stay present, especially when we're on defense. I got to put the defensive coordinator hat on, and then when we get to certain situations, you're kind of wearing both. Our defensive staff does a great job of making adjustments and talking to the guys and getting things fixed, and then I can kind of hop back and forth, but then, you're back to managing the game. If you're juggling, I think we can pull it off.
Don't miss the Mike McDonald Show the morning after the Hawks game at 9:30 on Seattle Sports.
Lowe's knows to start fall projects, you need reliable outdoor power equipment from Ego. Right now, get your choice of a select 56-volt blower or chainsaw for $249. The 56-volt technology powers over 80 tools, so you can switch from blowing leaves to cutting trees with ease. Save time and money with Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Valid through 10/2. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. Item number 5207558 and item number 4354078.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today and ask about our trade-in sale. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
John here with Happy Hauler. We want to help get your unwanted items to those in need. Furniture and household items you plan on throwing away? We'll take them and prioritize donating and recycling, keeping items out of the landfill, and giving useful items a second happy home. Happy Hauler is Seattle's eco-friendly junk removal. We work with over 20 nonprofits all over Western Washington to donate used items. Make yourself, your community, and the planet happy. Reclaim your space. HappyHauler.com, hauling with a heart.
This is Stacey Rost. Is that leaky faucet driving you crazy? Don't wait until it becomes a flood. Call Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air. At Ben's Plumbing, they pride themselves on 5-star service, where your satisfaction is their priority. Whether it's a stubborn clog or a complete plumbing overhaul, their team of dedicated professionals is here to help with no commission sales tactics. Just honest, reliable service you can count on. Call today at 206-789-5353 or visit Ben's.plumbing. That's Ben's.plumbing.
Hi, I'm Scott Rureka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. With rising interest rates and banks and credit unions continuing to tighten, the demand for our private portfolio loans has never been stronger. Therefore, for a limited time only, Legacy's Opportunity Fund is paying 7% interest on short-term cash with just a 90-day commitment and a 30-day notice to withdraw. It's the perfect place to park your short-term cash. And at 7%, I would challenge you to find a better short-term opportunity in the marketplace today. Don't let your short-term cash sit in a savings or money market account when you can get 7% with Legacy's Opportunity Fund and join the over 800 local investors with over $200 million invested.
Act now to receive Legacy's Opportunity Fund one-time offer of 7% on short-term cash. Visit Legacy Group Capital at LegacyG.com. That's LegacyG.com. Legacy Family of Funds investments are available to accredited investors only. 7% APR is current rate for the Legacy Group Capital Opportunity Fund. Terms and conditions at LegacyG.com.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
The Mike McDonald Show. The first word from the head coach after every Seahawks game.
We want to play a certain way, and you're just going to chisel away at it every day.
Presented by Emerald Queen Casino. Seahawks Insider. Brought to you by Pacific Lamp and Supply. Now here's Maura Dooley.
New Seahawks linebacker Tyrell Dotson posted on social media that his first game at Lumen Field was electric, and he said he appreciated the 12s for coming out and supporting. But as Mike Donald told the Brock and Salk Show Monday, there were some complications with them hearing each other for the play calls. Here, Dotson explains how they got around that issue.
Yeah, I remember that question. Oh, yeah, it went beautiful, man. Lumen was loud, so before the game, I actually was in my room last night doing like charades with the signals and stuff like that, but it worked out perfectly. Me, Julian, Ray, Lispoon, Reek, Kayvon, we're all on the same page, and man, it's beautiful when you have good communication.
The Seahawks Insider is brought to you by Pacific Lamp and Supply. For the latest on the Seahawks anytime, go to seattlesports.com.
At Mazda of Everett, you can always expect to receive exceptional customer service and exceptional deals. Mazda of Everett is a great friend of Seattle sports, and you'll be satisfied with both. Shop from over 600 new Mazdas in stock. And right now, they're offering 0% financing on all new Mazda CX-5s, CX-30s, CX-50s, and CX-90s on approved credit. Need more reasons? It feels like working with family when you work with Mazda of Everett. You will drive away happy. See for yourself at MazdaofEverett.com.
From whiplash to herniated discs, there are a few car accident injuries we've all heard of. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains that even the most common injuries differ from one another.
Pre-existing conditions, health history, beginning of treatment. There are hundreds of factors that make every person and every injury unique. While these variables aid medical treatment, the strongest case recoveries must also take them into account.
Could you explain a little bit more?
Our team at Pendergast Law is obsessed with turning over every stone to differentiate each case. This requires thorough investigation, diligent listening, and relentless research. We never pursue cases with a one-size-fits-all approach. We built our success by treating every injury and every case with the individualized attention our clients need and deserve.
Pendergast Law's individualized approach to even the most common injuries makes the difference in case outcomes. It's another reason why I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Prostate cancer is the second most common cancer in males. When detected early, it can be curable. Swedish CyberKnife offers a non-invasive and highly precise treatment for prostate cancer, typically requiring only 5 treatments. CyberKnife patients experience minimal side effects and can continue normal activities during treatment. Go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is
And Tinky.
weekdays 10 to 2
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
That is Willa
recognize
Rogers
that voice.
calling our show not Bump and Stacy, but Dump and Stinky. Matt, can I hear it one more time? Just welcome to Dump and...
from the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is
And Tinky.
Weekday.
I'm so offended. Why is she dragging me like this?
She always does.
Oh, God, she really does. But everyone, though. It at least makes me feel better that Willa does this to probably everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyone can get it.
Truly.
Is a simpler approach at the plate working for the Mariners? We heard J.P. Crawford the other day talk about how much he appreciates the style and approach that Edgar Martinez brings this club when it comes to their approach to the plate.
Just getting back to simplifying everything up. I think, collectively over the last couple of months, we were, going in with the plan that was way too complicated. And these last couple of weeks, we, simplified everything and just getting back to, just trusting yourself, trusting your hands, and just, see ball, hit ball type of mentality.
Curtis, I was listening to Brock and Salk this morning, and they had a spirited debate about 7:30. About whether or not it was a mistake to kind of turn away from analytics and not include that, because that's kind of what Edgar's implying. It was on With Us where Edgar talked about, I feel like it's more numbers now for guys, and it's kind of complicated. When I played, it was what's your average, are you getting on base, and then you would just swing, and maybe you worked on mechanics, but now it's crazy. You've got launch angle, you've got all these things. Salk was horrified at some of his comments about turning away from analytics, whereas Brock thought this is a great idea. Where do you fall?
I kind of look at it like, if you're doing something for so long and it's not working, then why not change it up? Like, I am a believer in analytics. I'm a believer in sabermetrics in baseball. I think they have a place in the game. But also, if that is causing too much confusion amongst your guys in your lineup, if that is creating too much information for them to absorb and it's not being conveyed in an easy way to digest, then you've got to fix something. You've got to be able to meet them where they're at. And if that means, going back to the basics, if that means going back to an approach where it's just see ball, hit ball, and the results have been there. You look at the Mariners' numbers over the last couple of weeks since Edgar took over as the hitting coach and Dan Wilson replaced Scott Service as manager. The numbers have shown that this offense is better right now than what it was before all this went down. I mean, the on-base percentage, fourth in Major League Baseball at 347, WRC plus of 121, fourth in baseball, a K rate that is just now 24.2%, which is 11th in Major League Baseball, and then total walks, 73, best in the league. So those numbers over the course of a full 162 would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They would be phenomenal. No one could complain about those numbers at all.
You'd be leading the West combined
Right.
with this pitching.
Exactly. You would be way out in front of the division, but it's also a small sample size. It's also been, 16 games that Dan Wilson has been the manager, that Edgar Martinez has been the full-time hitting coach. So to think that this is what the offense is going to look like night in and night out is still a little premature, especially because what we saw on Saturday with the Mariners getting blanked and one of the more devastating losses they've had this season, even though Logan Gilbert pitched phenomenal that game. But I do think that there is something to maybe putting the training wheels back on a little bit in order to just get everybody on the same page.
If you need a reminder of what Edgar said about sabermetrics, it was this.
We didn't look into those numbers. We only look into average, walks, moving runners, and run scores. Other than that, we didn't think about any other numbers. I think today it's very different in that sense. When I played, it was a lot simpler. I think it was easier for us because we didn't have to worry about any of those numbers that everybody's giving so much emphasis. It was very simple in the past.
I don't particularly care if a hitting coach isn't high on sabermetrics or every single statistical data point that I'm using as a front office to look into my players. Great. Fantastic. I want you to think about the mechanics of a swing, and I want you to think about confidence at the plate, and I want you to think about when to tweak and when not to tweak your approach. Those are things that you excel in. And honestly, it looks like Edgar's got like a nice touch so far with this club.
Yeah.
However, I do think it would be a mistake overall to say, baseball front offices just lean way too much into this. You know who leans a ton into sabermetrics? The Astros.
Right.
They did it so much that they built up a World Series team that appeared in multiple World Series, won a couple, and that extended beyond when the front office pieces had left.
Right.
Like that front office did such an amazing
It's
job.
completely different now than what it was in 2017.
They are no longer here, and the fingerprints of the team that they created, leaning heavily into that, is still here. Now, this is what I wonder, and I wish I had the answer to this question, and I will simply not be able to because I don't have that insight. I wish I knew, what worked so well for one club that doesn't work for you? Every club looks at sabermetrics. Every front office looks into analytics. What are the Mariners doing? Is it a translation, kind of like, here's the numbers we want you to care about and use it, like translating those numbers? Is it looking at the wrong ones? Is it a focus on the wrong things? Is it bad luck? Is it players that aren't executing? Like, what is it that's made that approach work so well for one team?
Right.
And stall development for another?
Yeah, it's a great thought because you don't see these kinds of struggles with the Dodgers. You don't see these kinds of struggles with some of the best offenses in baseball.
And you think those teams don't look at sabermetrics?
Right.
Like, you think they don't lean heavily into analytics?
Now, there is a difference in talent level that a lot of these lineups are running out there compared to the Mariners. I mean, you look at the Dodgers, you're obviously going to put up runs when your first three guys in the order are Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman, three of the best hitters of their era. But they also get success out of guys in the bottom part of their order, too. Teoscar Hernandez having a bounce-back season this year. You've got, great catcher in Will Smith. You've got just guys all up and down their lineup that contribute. And I do kind of wonder if it is just how these numbers are being conveyed to these guys and just kind of the points of emphasis, like, hey, this is what we want to do. The Mariners are huge into hitting home runs. They're huge into swinging with tons of power. And when you do that, you are going to strike out a lot. You are going to miss a lot of hittable pitches because you're trying to put runs up on the board more so than putting runners on base, when in theory getting runners on base should lead to more runs, just because you're going to run out of room. You're going to run out of room to put guys on base because they have to score. So I think the messaging may have gotten a little bit easier to consume. And look, if I am a Major League Baseball hitter, who am I going to be more open to receiving information from? And this is not a knock on Brant Brown, and this is not a knock on Jared DeHart, two guys that probably know a lot more about hitting than you and I and anybody listening. But are you going to listen to them, or are you going to listen to a guy who has an award named after him and is largely considered the greatest designated?
I would like gymnastics advice from Simone Biles.
Right.
I would like advice from someone who has succeeded to such a degree that I go, they must have a secret. They must know something that just the average person doesn't. So, as a reminder, a programming reminder, the Mariners are back in action today. They had an off day yesterday. They're going to open up a series against the Padres at 6:40 p.m. Pre-game show starts at 5:30 right here on Seattle Sports. After years of exploding numbers, are NFL offenses getting more conservative? That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
You look at it, the Broncos scored 20 points. 10 of those are on the offense. Those 2 field goals, those are wins for the defense, considering where they started. Couldn't imagine a worse start, first 2 plays. Offense, Geno, O-line, keeping their composure.
That's what I saw from Geno. I was really surprised. And I looked down there with my binoculars. I expected him to be pissed off and screaming and yelling. And he was having a very calm conversation with his offense. So, yeah, kudos to Geno. No panic. That was key.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
At Shane Company, we'll help you design an engagement ring as unique as your love story. We have the widest selection of diamonds and gemstones for you to choose from, and you can compare them side by side right here in our store. Only at Shane Company can you sift through exquisite diamonds, rubies, and a rainbow of sapphires in a variety of shapes and sizes. We'll help you create your dream engagement ring no matter your price range. Choose the ring setting that speaks to your style, from classic to modern to vintage. We offer so many ways to personalize your ring. Pick your favorite center stone, add a decorative crown and a custom engraving, or select a perfectly preset ring that's ready to go. At Shane Company, our jewelers know how much your ring means to you. They hand-set each center stone with precision and pride in our jewelers' workshop, so you can feel confident knowing your ring is crafted with the greatest care and comes with an unmatched free lifetime warranty that lets you know we'll always be here for you. Your love story deserves to shine bright. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Tired of ads interrupting your favorite news podcasts? Good news! Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Stay up to date on everything newsworthy with podcasts like The Daily, Up First, and 5 Things Uninterrupted at Amazon.com/ad-free. Just head to Amazon.com/ad-free to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
This Thursday's Spotlight at Waterfront Park is Northwest Folklife's Superfolk. Come experience the brilliance, depth, and breadth of folk music. Thursday, September 12th at Waterfront Park on Pier 62. Celebrate the arts, cultures, and traditions that embody the Pacific Northwest. This free event is open to all ages, September 12th, 6 to 8 p.m. Seattle's new waterfront is being built for you. Come and enjoy it. Full schedule of events at waterfrontparkseattle.org. Brought to you by Friends of Waterfront Park.
Listen throughout the week to the Mariners Player Spotlight.
Ever since I got here, I want to win a World Series in Seattle, and this city's starving for another winning team.
Presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
It's football season, and that means colder weather is on the way. If it's time to update your windows and doors, talk to Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Local owner Keith Dashafee has a great deal just for you.
That's right, Steve. Now you can get 20% off qualifying installations or 0% financing for 24 months with equal payments. Just schedule a free consultation with Pella Windows and Doors at PellaPNW.com.
Thanks, Keith. Check out the unbeatable selection of windows and doors today at PellaPNW.com. That's PellaPNW.com.
Hey North Seattle, cheering on the Mariners at T-Mobile Park just got a lot easier with 4 new light rail stations, 2 in Shoreline at 148th and 185th, plus stops in Mount Lake Terrace and Linwood. With Stadium Station just steps to T-Mobile Park, the light rail makes your trip smooth from end to end. Adults ride for just $3 and kids 18 and under ride for free. Trains are running now, so get your Mariners tickets today and see how easy the trip is for yourself. Mariners Baseball. Ride on down and try to ends up.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Would you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
After years of exploding numbers, our NFL offense is getting more conservative. From Jake Grossman, Bo Nix averaged something like 5-ish yards per completion, the third lowest of any quarterback who completed at least 20 passes in a game. So earlier we talked about the Seahawks really limiting the Broncos in terms of the average yards per offensive play, 3.3 in that case. Jake Grossman said, look, it's not just Bo Nix. The decline in air yards, not total yards, air yards on passes is part of a long-term trend in the NFL. So Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. I saw someone, 509 on the Mac and Jack's text line, say, I don't believe offenses are getting more conservative. I believe this is the direct result of starters not starting in the preseason. And while that may be a factor, we are here to tell you that there are quite a few people around the league who are actually noticing changes in the way that offenses are functioning. And don't forget that not that long ago, we had the Green Bay Packers, Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, and another team I'm blanking on, all scoring 30 or more points per game on average for that season. And we thought this is the explosion. This is the offensive explosion. The league is going to go in this direction. They're paying quarterbacks more than ever. People are going to be scoring a ton. And Curtis, we've not been seeing that in the last couple years now.
Right. There was a year or two where the Seahawks had scored the most points they'd ever scored in franchise history, and it was only good for 10th in the NFL that season. I think that was the 2020 season.
Yeah, it was also when they started out just hair on fire.
Right. Yeah. And everybody was like, oh, man, we've never seen an offense like this in Seahawks history. But it was also yeah, but this is also kind of a mid offense in terms of the grand scheme of the NFL. But yeah, I think right now you are seeing teams be a little more risk averse, especially considering how important ball security is across the NFL. When you have more air yards, that's just more opportunities for the defense to get a hand on the ball. And that means the ball's going the other way. You're losing that time of possession battle. You're getting turnovers and whatnot. It's interesting too, Stacey, when we saw the offensive numbers go from a 3,000-yard passing season was great, 4,000 was ridiculous. Now it's 4,000 is the expectation, and 5,000. And
Brady has already surpassed 5 with Tampa Bay.
Exactly. When that sort of shifted, I want to say mid to late 2000s, it was interesting to see interception numbers not go up when there were way more passes being thrown. But as with all things in the NFL, it's so cyclical. And you've now had so many years of opposing defenses being able to study trends in the NFL offensively and being able to study where, balls are going, how teams are getting the balls out and generating all this offense. I kind of like that things are maybe coming back towards the defense, and I think that's a benefit to a team like Seattle where your head coach is a defensive-minded guy. Mm-hmm. I do like explosive passing games, though. I do like seeing offense, but look, if years and years and years of rule changes being tailored towards the offense, the defense is going to have to do something to step it up. And I think we're seeing it right now where the kinds of defenses being called against these offenses have really kind of thrown offensive coordinators and quarterbacks that maybe aren't the best of the best. It's really kind of separated the great ones from the guys who are just another guy.
It was a quiet week one around the NFL offensively. There were some teams like the New Orleans Saints that dropped 40+. But overall, there were a lot of close games, and there were some teams that didn't do much of anything offensively, not just Denver, but the Panthers didn't do much. The Bengals didn't do much. That we're still waiting to see Caleb Williams have a touchdown in the NFL. If you're wondering whether it's a reaction to week one, though, it's not. So Nate Tice for Yahoo Sports last year wrote about the 2023 season. At about a halfway point in the season, he looked at what had been going on, and he said, NFL offenses are scoring the fewest points per game through the opening 6 weeks since 2010. The league average explosive play rate of 10% is the lowest through 6 weeks since 2000. Both run and passing games have been hit. In addition, you're seeing quarterbacks scrambling more than ever, and quarterbacks are averaging the lowest expected points added per dropback. NFL offenses also had a success rate of 41.2% through the first 6 weeks, which is the third lowest rate since 2000. So in the last 23 years, when Nate had written this article at about the midway point of last season, we had been seeing stifled offense in a way we hadn't before. So naturally from this conversation comes what's so fun about sports radio, which is coming up with theories as to why we're seeing that. Mm-hmm. And Curtis, you said, look, I think defenses are just responding and adding a little more parity to these games. That was kind of what Nate Tice said. He said, look, I think we're seeing a little bit of a defensive revolution. You are seeing more athletic quarterbacks, so they're scrambling, and that's also limiting the yardage. Like, you aren't seeing pure pocket passers where either you throw it incomplete, throw an interception, throw it out of bounds, or you throw a 40-yard bomb. But he said you are seeing defenses run more zone coverages, upticks in cover 4, cover 6, cover 3, steadily increasing league-wide. He said zone coverages simply make quarterbacks work mentally and physically. Even defensive coordinators who really lean into man coverage, like Bill Belichick, obviously no longer a head coach, and Brian Flores, no longer a head coach, were upping their zone coverage. So he just said, look, defenses are better. Yeah. People are investing more in defensive lines. These guys are more effective. And what defenses are getting so good at doing is taking away big plays. So how do you respond? And that's where the league is right now.
Yeah, they're trying to figure it out. It's like in baseball where pitching has become just so ridiculously good to where offenses are like, I don't know how to attack this.
Right. It's so fun to see how different sports evolve that way, because then you wonder, like, do I like it as much? I do. The NFL, I had a wonderful week one in the NFL. The only game I did not like was Monday night, which was a blowout early, and it was really boring. I loved every other primetime game. I enjoyed multiple games, and in part, that was because these games are so close. Like, you aren't seeing, like an LA Rams, Kansas City Chiefs, 40-plus points, 50-plus points apiece is always fun. But, Curtis, I know that you like a game that's kind of back and forth and that you like good defensive play.
Yeah, and I was thoroughly entertained with every nationally televised game this weekend except for Jets 49ers. That was the only stinker of all of them. Great opening night, Chiefs Ravens. Packers Eagles was very entertaining. Rams Lions down to the final minute of that game. Actually went into overtime in that one. Lions marched down the field. So yeah, if it means more entertaining games instead of just kind of going into a game with expectations of it happening and it just kind of lives. There's no randomness. I think that's good too. This defensive upswing in production, it allows for, I think, a more competitive league.
Again, Joe and Bellevue, maybe if they took preseason more seriously and used it to get ready for the regular season, you'd see more offense. I mean, yeah, I think limiting preseason play, particularly cutting out an entire preseason game, has an effect on the rest of the league. this to me is more tied to evolving schemes. Like this to me is more tied to what are defensive and offensive coordinators doing and how are quarterbacks and their skill set evolving. And also we're paying defensive linemen more. They're more effective. Like it's a much more broad step back view of the NFL that's leading to this. I'm cool with it. I don't need 35 points in a game. I just want a good game. I want a close game, and I like great defense.
Give me something competitive.
Yeah, it's just a very surprising shift, not 3-4 years after we were seeing multiple teams for the first time ever finish with 30 points per game. Fascinating league. You are listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. What's real and what wasn't from week 1 for the Seahawks? Plus, do we have an update on George Fant? And what should we make of contract news this morning for DK Metcalf? We're going to ask an expert next.
This is Seattle Sports.
Thrown downfield, wide open, touchdown, Seahawks, Zach Charbonnet.
Bo Nix throw picks.
Back in the middle, intercepted. And it's Rick Woolen who steps right in front of the receiver, Cortland Sutton.
Me, I'm just fast. I just chased it down, and the ball's in there. I caught it, and that was it for real.
Throws to the corner of the end zone. It's going to be intercepted. Getting his feet down in bounds is Julian Love.
We are the home of the Seahawks.
To me, the LJ way is to provide an experience that people really enjoy being a part of. And they enjoy being a part of it because they're getting great service. They're talking with somebody that actually they feel cares about them. They care about what their impression is going to be walking away. It's also understanding you're now part of our family, and thank you for doing the business with us. And this is how we're going to show our appreciation through customer service. We're going to show our appreciation with taking care of you if you ever have an issue. Majority of the people that are coming to see us are within our community. These are people who are providing maybe services that we also use in our community. So the LJ way, to me, somebody can come into a retail setting and not feel like they got to have their guard up. And that's been a long-standing thing in the car business that, we've tried to shake.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Summer is here, and now's the time to break through those weight loss frustrations. Hey, it's Dr. Coogan with Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, and we have a proven system that can help you lose weight and get healthy. No drugs, no side effects, no calorie counting, no exercise. Just teaching you the simple steps to become a fat-burning machine and keep it off long-term. Remove the stress of trying to do this on your own and picture being down 20 to 30 pounds in just 60 days with our help. At Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, we know the secret for fast and lasting weight loss using real healthy foods and lifestyle changes. Schedule your free consultation online at eastsideweightlossklinic.com.
There's a lot of different weight loss plans out there, but one thing that sets this one apart is that you are eating real food that you buy at the grocery store. There's nothing fake about it. It is 100% genuine. The food tastes good. And again, it's real.
Our program has successfully helped thousands of people lose up to 10 to 20% of their body weight in 60 days. You can start our program in person in Kirkland or virtually from anywhere you live. Schedule your free phone consultation today by calling 425-588-0080 or eastsideweightlossklinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Buy a heat pump, get a furnace free. Now from Deere Services. You heard right. Buy a new heat pump, get a new furnace free from Deere Services. Save now and combine the year-round benefits and comforts of both systems, giving you warm winters and cool summers. Make an appointment at DEARservices.net, and we'll be there within 3 hours, guaranteed. And get this, no service fees. Buy a new heat pump, get a new furnace free now at Deere Services. Seattle Seahawks, small business partners.
Hear that? The sound of water being poured on 800-degree rocks. If you were here in this sauna, you'd be so hot you wouldn't have the energy to move. But you're not here. Because your self-care happens out on the road, riding your motorcycle protected by Progressive. Besides, after a long ride, a helmet sweat is way more satisfying. So if you ride, switch to Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer, without even breaking a sweat. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Paul's new drone startup just lost its most genius computer scientist.
We just lost our best genius to some new genius who's got a genius new idea. I'm going to have to find a new genius. or 2 half geniuses and fast.
He needs a computer scientist that can keep his startup from falling down.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
For many of us, it's happening. Your hair is thinning, your crown is disappearing. Hair loss had me feeling like I was losing my identity altogether. Well, I've got some good news. It's a simple one-day treatment that worked for me. The Advanced FUE from Advanced Hair. It starts growing new hair the very next day, and it's guaranteed to grow for life. We've all seen the pills and lotions that come with monthly memberships. Those can help retain what you have. But what if you want your own natural hair in specific areas like I did? You decide how much, how thick, and where. From Advanced Hair's state-of-the-art facilities to the world-class leading doctors like Dr. Perungo, it's not a maybe your hair will grow. It's guaranteed that your new hair will grow. For your free consultation, $250 off and 250 free hair grafts, call 425-449-8185. Advanced Hair is the winner of the 425 Business of the Year, and they are the team that I personally recommend. That's 425-449-8185 or advancedhair.com.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Kraken have announced a 4-year contract extension with defenseman Adam Larson. Larson was headed into the final season of a 4-year, $16 million deal signed with Seattle back in 2021. The Mariners are back in action today after an off day yesterday. They'll open a series against the Padres at 6:40 p.m. Pre-game show starts at 5:30 right here on Seattle Sports.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is brought to you by Floor Coverings International.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now.
Joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline, it's Seattle Times Seahawks reporter Bob Condota. Bob, how's it going?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good. I know that we did not get an update on George Fant yesterday and that today's an off day, so you won't have one. However, what I'll ask instead, Bob, is, yes, starting with an injury update, what's it mean for Seattle's offensive line if Fant needs to miss some time?
Yeah, well, I mean, there aren't a lot of options. I mean, it just means you're going to see Stone Forsythe, who started or who played the rest of the way. Fant got hurt 13 snaps into that game, so Forsythe played most of that game. I think it was the second play of the fourth series of the game, I think, when Fant got hurt. So you would just see him, and then they'll have to decide if they want to go with Michael Jarrell as the backup there. He's the listed backup now. But they also have McClendon Curtis on the practice squad, and they could easily sign him to the 53 if they had to put Fant on IR or something like that, or just leave him on the practice squad but then elevate him and prepare him all week to be that backup there. But that's about it. I mean, Satao Lamea also played tackle in college, so maybe he could be an option there as well. But Curtis, I think, was sort of maybe higher on the depth chart through a lot of camp, and it was just sort of, I think who they kept on the 53 was more a matter of who they thought they could get through waivers and, who they didn't want to risk losing in waivers. So it wouldn't surprise me if Curtis could be that guy. But that's, unless there's some move that we find out about in the next couple hours that they make to add somebody else, which could be possible. But I doubt they could add anybody at this point that would probably be ready to play by Sunday.
Well, and speaking of potentially adding players, Bob, we saw the news today that DK Metcalf had his contract restructured, the Seahawks freeing up some cap space. Do you think that could potentially be for the offensive line, or is that maybe some simple housekeeping?
Yeah, I hate to be boring, but I think it's simple housekeeping, and I also don't. I think this was announced today, but I think it's been in the works. I don't think this is in relation to anything or foreshadows anything. And I was looking up just to make sure I was right on this, but it was almost exactly this time last year. They did that with Jamal Adams, and everybody was like, "Why are they doing that?" And it was just housekeeping as well. It was just sort of how they thought they could do things and clear up some space. You got to add their practice squad right now. I think is projected to account for like $4.2 million against the cap, so that's something you got to account for. And then just as guys go on injured reserve, you either got to put them on IR and pay them their salary or do the cash payouts, but that goes on your cap as well. There's just things like that are going to creep up through the season. So they like to have some flexibility. And, I think they were 30th at cap space going into the weekend. They were going to have to do something because there was no way they were going to be able to get through the season with what they had. So one way or the other, they were going to have to do something to create some space. And I think now they're like 16th. So they're not really winning bidding wars if anybody comes out. The 49ers somehow still have like $56 million in available cap space, despite, it seems like every other day we read about the 49ers re-signing somebody. But, so no, I think this is just something they were going to do anyway.
Hey, looking back at Sunday's game, were you surprised by the slow offensive performance in the first half?
I wouldn't have predicted it would look like that, but I'm not incredibly surprised because the offensive line, that's the first time Connor Williams played football of any kind since December 11th when he tore his ACL. He's only been practicing for 3 weeks, and his first week of practice was really just sort of, that was the short week they had going into the final game and the final preseason game. And he wasn't doing a whole lot then. I mean, he really hasn't practiced much, and he's sort of the leader of your offensive line there. And, and then you still, the Fant injury threw Forsythe in there. So that kind of threw what you had is that, Anthony Bradford went out early in that game too with an injury for one play and then came back in. But I don't know if he was, we never got an announcement on what that was. And obviously he played the rest of the game, so it wasn't overly serious. But, I think maybe he was fighting through something a little bit there as well. So I just think it was really the first time, other than, that one series, a couple of the series that we saw really, but kind of the one series against Cleveland where that group had played together. That was sort of one of the themes of the NFL all week, week one was that a lot of offenses didn't look very good. And, people are questioning whether the fact that nobody's playing in the preseason, is that really hurting offensive line play that these guys are getting out there week one and, they haven't played together at all. So it didn't surprise me that they didn't, put up 50 points or anything like that. And it just, they did look a lot better in the second half. They obviously got some things sorted out. Kind of went to what was working and kind of tried to stick with that more and more quick hitting stuff. And so, I think it just took everybody a few series to kind of just get sorted out and figure out what was going to work.
Bob, the Seahawks got a ton of contributions on Sunday from their class of 2022, their rookie class of 2022. They, got a ton of praise in the rookie season. Last year didn't really see a uptick in a lot of production from those guys, but on Sunday we saw Boye Mafe have a great game. Ken Walker looked really good. Reek Woolen came down with an interception, and then Charles Cross was the highest graded Seahawk according to Pro Football Focus. Of those four guys, which one stood out to you the most on Sunday?
Well, Cross was good to see kind of validate that. I think all of us who watched have thought Crosses looked really good. When you watch the one-on-one drills, it didn't matter who he was going against. It looked like he was usually winning his snap. And just in general, it just looked like he just kind of looked really good out there, kind of doing everything. So, I think it was good to kind of see that validated because that's a really important player for them going forward. Taking where he was in the draft, and obviously, left tackles can play a long time. And if you've got a really good left tackle, he could be your guy for another decade there. And so I do think this is a key year. Not to bring up contract stuff, but he's a guy who's probably going to want a new contract after this year. And if he plays like that, they're going to have to account for a lot of money for him probably after this season going forward. And so, I think he's highly motivated to have that good year and kind of set that scenario up for him. But it is good to see that from him. Mafe played pretty well last year, if you recall. I mean, he did take a big jump last year. So it's kind of good to see him continue on that progression there. And then, Woolen, same answer sort of as Cross, and that, Woolen, I think people really underplay the injuries he had last year. I think those were a big deal. The knee injury, he really didn't do anything until the season started of any real note. He kind of got out there and practiced some the final few weeks of training camp, but I think that kind of set him back a lot. And then the shoulder injury he suffered against Detroit, it was his second game of the season. I think that was a bigger deal for him than was led on, especially what led to some of the tackling issues. And he talked about that, how he changed his workout regime this year to try to get a little stronger in the upper body and things like that because of the injury and to try to be a better tackler. So those were things that looked like they were going to happen in the preseason and training camp, but it was good to see, another thing that was kind of good to see validated the first time they really played games.
No one's going to just get benched after one bad performance. You just have bad games, and week one is hardly a measuring stick for what your team is going to look like all year. That being said, Bob, when you look at guard play, whether it's Tomlinson or Anthony Bradford, do you anticipate this team could, see a little more time for someone like Christian Haynes, or do you think they're pretty confident in the guys they have and they're just going to continue to iron out those kinks?
Well, what I would say is I think week one also showed that I think in their opinion there's a gap there between what Anthony Bradford is right now and what Christian Haynes is right now. I'll admit I was a little curious of maybe would they rotate, would they try to find a way to get Christian Haynes on the field out there, and they didn't do it. The only play he played was the one play Bradford had to come out due to injury. So I don't think in their mind they think right now that Christian Haynes is going to be better than Anthony Bradford is. So I think that answers that. And as McDonald was asked about this yesterday, you're not really going to do that after 10 plays. You got to, especially offensive line. And I think, as discussed earlier, that's a whole new, it's kind of a new group when you consider that Connor Williams is the first time they're playing with him. And, the centers and guards, the center and the two guards really work together a lot, with the communication and things like that. Who's blocking what. And I think there might have been some issues with that stuff early on for the obvious reason that it was the first time they were all playing together in a game. So, I think that's why you didn't see the coaches, react in any way to that. But, I do think, again, I think there's, right now, Anthony Bradford won that job. All we see maybe is, 10 plays out there, and it just looks like, man, why don't they do something? But they've had, all off season, all training camp and stuff like that to assess this. And there's no question that right now, in their mind, Anthony Bradford is their best option there. And I don't think you pull the plug on that, without a few games of evidence to really give you a reason why.
Bob, what in your opinion was the most encouraging thing you saw from the Seahawks defense against Denver? Because it felt a lot different than what we've seen over the last couple of years when Pete Carroll's defense was out there. It looked a lot different. What stood out to you most about the defensive performance the Seahawks put forth?
Yeah, well, I'm going to be the wet blanket and not make huge sweeping conclusions there, because that might be a really bad offense they played. Bo Nix is not, that was the whole knock on him coming out of the draft, is he's not a guy who can throw it downfield real well. At Oregon, God bless Oregon's offense, but there's a lot of quarterbacks who've come out of Oregon who put up incredible numbers at Oregon and haven't done a whole lot in the NFL, because that offense that they've typically run, just has a knack of making receivers just be wide open. And, and if you're a good college quarterback, you can really do a lot of things there. But those abilities translate to the NFL. There haven't been a ton of guys who've done that at the level that you might have thought. So I'd sort of wait a little bit on what Denver becomes before we read a ton into that performance. But I would say I thought it was good that there didn't seem to be a whole lot of missed assignments. That was one of the more mystifying things I thought of kind of the last couple of years, because they mostly had a lot of veteran guys in their back seven, and yet there still just seemed to be times that somebody was running free, so they had just miscommunicated. Someone just didn't guard somebody, and and it seemed kind of odd sometimes when you had some of the big names that you had in the back seven there, and some of those kind of things were happening, and it didn't feel like there was any of that on Sunday. And, as everybody's talked about, McDonald asked a lot of those guys in that way. They do, he does want to do a lot of, kind of pre-snap adjusting to what they're seeing and things like that, and asking the guys to do that. And it seemed like they did that kind of stuff really well. And that you in general, Denver really only had a couple of plays of any real note. And, it did seem like guys were right there anyway, the few times that Denver did get much of anything done. So, I thought that was encouraging.
He is Seattle Times Seahawks reporter Bob Condotta, kind enough to join us on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook hotline to look back at week one and take a look ahead to next week for the Seattle Seahawks. Thanks so much, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, thanks a lot, you guys. Yep, bye.
All right, still to come, taking a look around the timeline. 49ers may be in some hot water with the NFL. That's coming up in about 20
minutes.
minutes.
Tell me they're cheating?
You'll have to wait until 11:30 to find out why the 49ers are in hot water. But I will tell you, I promise you that. Let's get to 4 Down territory.
This is 4 Down territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael
If you ain't
Bumpus.
cheating, you ain't trying.
You ain't trying.
You ain't
That's
trying.
right. Roll Tide. First down to you, Stacey. Tell us something we should know about the Patriots ahead of week 2.
So what you should know about the Patriots ahead of week 2, I'll cheat and I'll give you 2 things. One is that this defense was quietly pretty solid, particularly in the second half last year. But what I am looking at instead is that rushing offense. I know that we naturally look at the quarterback and we naturally look at the weapons this team has, potentially even the offensive line, and we go, I'm not worried about that Patriots offensive line. I'm not worried about Jacoby Brissett. And what army, Jacoby? However, I would like to point out that army does have a heck of a running back. Ramondre Stevenson had 120 rushing yards on 25 carries. But this is what I really want you to know. Ramondre Stevenson played behind a Patriots offensive line that needed some help. So they leaned on a jumbo package using one of their rookie tackles, Caden Wallace, as an eligible tight end to create an extra blocker on almost 20 snaps. They did that for 18 snaps. Why does that matter? Because I think it's going to be a hell of a test compared to what the Denver Broncos were able to bring. They did not use Williams nearly as much as they would have liked to, nor nearly as effectively. And that Broncos offense didn't hold up the way that they wanted. I don't think you're going to see quite the same horrid offensive production from the Patriots, even though they had a suspect offensive line heading into the season. So keep an eye out for that jumbo tight end package and for what Stevenson can do in week 2.
Second down. Stacey, what is one of the more fascinating stories to you around the league after just week 1?
Now, as a Seahawks fan, I very much love the feeling of winning a trade against the Denver Broncos. However, they may have that crown of worst NFL trade in the last, 20 years, or not 20, last 10 years or so, taken away from them. The most interesting storyline to me around the league, quietly, is whether or not the Cleveland Browns have made the worst trade in NFL history, as a reminder. They gave up not 1, not 2, 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson, and that's not all. They also gave up a third-round pick, 2 fourth-round picks, and a little bit more. Then they gave him a 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed deal. Outside of just what Watson is, or rather isn't doing for Cleveland, is also what Houston got with those picks. 2 of those draft picks led to Will Anderson and Tank Dell.
Pretty good.
And another was packaged as part of a trade for Stephon Diggs.
Also pretty good.
So you've got minimum 3 starters. I think they have another starter to come from that deal as well. Will Anderson obviously was a standout rookie, so they got a heck of a return on that. And the Browns gave Deshaun Watson a lot of guaranteed money, $230 million. Now, they've since reworked a bit of that contract, and we'll see what happens with Deshaun Watson's newest lawsuit, which may actually get Cleveland off the hook for some of this money as well. But what I'm looking at just right now are the numbers themselves. When Deshaun Watson was with Houston in 4 seasons, he was phenomenal. 2 of those seasons, he threw for over 4,000 yards. And 1 of those seasons, he had 33 touchdowns, at least 25 touchdowns in 3 of the 4 seasons. He looked like a franchise star. In 2022, 2023, and now in 2024, he has not. He has not played in more than 6 games in a season in either 22 or 23, has never thrown for more than 1,200 yards with this team. He has a total of 15 touchdowns across 3 years. I mean, consider that his last season, full-time as a starter with Houston, 33 touchdowns. 15 over the last 2 seasons, plus week 1 when he was sacked 5 times and looked god-awful. So congratulations, Cleveland. You may be taking that crown.
You did it. Cleveland, this one's for you. Third down. Stacey, what's a number from week 1 that you think is not real?
I'm going to go right back to the open and remind you about this one. 3.3 yards allowed per play. That is what Seattle allowed from their opponent, Denver Broncos offense. It was the second best mark among defenses in week 1. Do I think Seattle's the second best defense in the league? No, it would be cool. It'd be really dope. Like, I would love that. But I think that what you're really stuck on is that 3.3 number is not going to stay that way. Last year, the very best defense in terms of opponent yardage per play was 4.6. That was the best defense. It was the New York Jets. So even 5 yards per play, that's a lot of wiggle room, would be better than what Seattle did last year, allowing 5.5 yards per play in 2023. So all in all, it's really good news. It's just that you're not going to see performances like that from opposing passers. The AP says Bo Nix's 5.3 yards per completion was the 3rd lowest of any quarterback who completed at least 20 passes in a game. You're just not going to see it.
No, you're not. 4th down. All right, who caught your eye in week 1 around the league, and something funny about wide receiver stats through the first week?
So I'm going to guess that at least one of these two caught your eye as well. I had Ravens tight end Isaiah Likely, who had a phenomenal Thursday night game, even though his toe was out of bounds.
Nearly had a second touchdown, which would have given them a chance to win the game with a 2-point conversion. And then I wrote down Chargers running back J.K. Dobbins. So I'm going to start with Isaiah Likely. Obviously, he's rostered in most fantasy leagues, particularly after Thursday night. But if you don't already have him or if he's available, please find him. I know that it's the Mark Andrews show there, but Isaiah Likely's an amazing weapon for the Ravens. Chargers running back J.K. Dobbins is a really interesting one because L.A. really doesn't have any tested veterans or star power at wide receiver. No regular starting wide receivers have had 1,000-yard seasons in their careers. So Dobbins looked very much like their best weapon, and it's just so interesting because we fully expected that this marriage between Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert would allow Herbert to take advantage of all the tools he has, including one of the best arms in football, and really get the ball moving down the field. That's just not been what the offenses looked like. So I'm kind of here for the J.K. Dobbins show. I am too.
He looked phenomenal, and I was really happy for him. He had 135 yards on the ground, third only behind Joe Mixon. And let me get to the second part of this question, the names I love seeing on rushing and receiving stats. Congratulations, Jordan Mason, 147 rushing yards. I know that we are all paying attention to when the rest of the league found out Christian McCaffrey wasn't going to be playing in this one, but Jordan Mason came in knowing that he would be thrown into a starting role and absolutely met the mark, exceeded the mark. What I love about week one stats is that you're going to find names you absolutely expect, and then you're going to find some surprising ones. For instance, let's go to passing. Curtis, if you were to guess, I'm looking at the top 5 passing leaders from week one, you could safely guess at least 3 of these. Just throw out some names.
Tua?
Yes. Tua's number 1.
CJ Stroud?
No. Think big arm or think best quarterback ever.
Best quarterback ever, Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes is number 3. Matthew Stafford is number 2. Jalen Hurts is 5. Baker Mayfield.
There we go.
In here at number 4.
He had 4 touchdowns, too.
Jordan Mason was kind of like my fun surprise in the rushing category. In receiving, go ahead and throw out maybe a really prolific receiver known for his speed.
Known for his speed. A prolific receiver, Tyreek Hill.
Yes, Tyreek Hill is number 2 overall.
Okay.
So you're going to find some names you already recognize. I mean, Jameson Williams in here for Detroit. Obviously, they had a great win. Montgomery kind of the star there late, but Jameson Williams with a great win there. A.J. Brown for Philadelphia in here with 119 yards. My fantasy league didn't feel that one, though. But you're also going to find some surprising ones. How about Alec Pierce for
Anthony
Indianapolis?
Richardson hitting him twice.
Exactly. 125 receiving yards. Or how about this one, the number 1 receiver out of week 1, Jaden Reed for Green Bay, 138 yards. I love week 1. By the time week 8 rolls around, but by the time week 10 rolls around, this is going to be full of A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs. It's going to be the names that you're used to seeing. But sometimes I love wondering, like, what if, I'm not saying this is the case, but what if Jaden Reed has a breakout year?
In receiving yards?
I don't think he'll lead the league in receiving yards because I don't think that that they'll throw the ball that much. Well, first of all, Love isn't even healthy right now. But you look at these lists and you go, what if J.K. Dobbins has a career year? What if Jaden Reed has a career year?
One of my favorite things back when I played fantasy football was seeing guys like Jaden Reed and Wednesday when the waiver claims go through. You see their availability on like a Tuesday in those leagues. It's like less than 1% of teams have them. And then that Wednesday, it's like 95% of teams have this guy. Mm-hmm. And then they just never reach that level again the rest of the season. It's like, man.
I know.
I don't know what it was about that week, but I like that you brought up J.K. Dobbins. His career yards per carry.
Yeah.
6.1.
That's stupid. That's amazing.
He's missed 2 full seasons, essentially. He missed all of 2021, and then he played in 1 game in 2023.
I root for him, man.
He's only 26 years old. When he is healthy, he is a very fun running back.
He'll be rostered in your fantasy leagues, but if you can get him on the low with someone who's not paying attention in a trade, snatch him up.
Rooting for that guy to stay healthy
me too.
this season.
All right, you are listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus today. As we promised, the 49ers may be in some hot water with the NFL. That's next.
Hawks Live.
Thursday nights from 7 to 9.
Live from Bellevue Square Center Court. Join former Seahawks Michael Bumpus and Paul Moyer as they go deep on the Hawks with player interviews and opponents' analysis.
And we look like offensively the team that we thought we were. How do we win a football game? That's what makes you a great quarterback.
Every Thursday night throughout the Hawks season.
Geno Smith has himself a day.
Presented by the Dining District of the Bellevue Collection.
On Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
This is Stacey Rost. Is that leaky faucet driving you crazy? Don't wait until it becomes a flood. Call Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air. At Ben's Plumbing, they pride themselves on 5-star service, where your satisfaction is their priority. Whether it's a stubborn clog or a complete plumbing overhaul, their team of dedicated professionals is here to help with no commission sales tactics. Just honest, reliable service you can count on. Call today at 206-789-5353 or visit Ben's.plumbing. That's Ben's.plumbing.
Is something bugging you? If you're dealing with a pest problem, get the relief you need and the long-term protection you deserve with Issaquah Pest Control. Look, rodents and bugs can ruin your insulation or the structure of your home or business. Before it becomes a more costly issue, call Issaquah Pest Control, the fast, kind, and professional pest control service. And if you're in the pest control business or have an interest, they're hiring, so join the team. Issaquah Pest Control, serving the entire Puget Sound. IssaquahPest.com.
At State Roofing, you can trust us to get your project done right because we prioritize quality and excellence in everything we do. Take advantage of 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest today, and don't pay until 2025. Call State Roofing at 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, Buc-ee's has you covered with no credit financing. For oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance. It's Buc-ee's Complete Auto. No appointment needed and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the location near you.
Hello?
Hey, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. Did you know we've got you fully covered?
I've taken up beekeeping. I'm always covered.
I'm talking the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage at up to half the cost.
Same honey, half the work?
Exactly.
Sweet.
Just call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
My wife and I always loved doing everything together. Jiu-jitsu, kayaking, and intimacy was always on point. It was around my early 30s when I noticed a downward trend. Watching a lot of TV, putting on weight, and just full of self-doubt. I had tried another men's clinic with disappointing results. It's the personalized treatment I receive at Revive Men's Health that has been the complete game changer for me. I've got my energy and motivation back, I'm feeling stronger than I did in my 20s, and it made me a much better husband to my wife.
This is Dr. Andrew Allshouse of Revive Men's Health. If you're always feeling tired or moody, or your sleep is poor, you have low libido, you may be suffering from low testosterone.
Book your free T-check and exam. Call Revive Men's Health Seattle at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe. Seahawks Insider, brought to you by Pacific Lamp and Supply. Now here's Maura Dooley.
Boye Mafe and Derek Hall each came up with a sack against the Broncos on Sunday, but the Seahawks were bringing pressure most of the game. In fact, Mafe and Leonard Williams ended up being in the top 5 of players as far as pressures in Week 1. Mike McDonald spoke after the game about what he saw from his pass rush.
Throughout the game, you're playing, 8 or 9 guys up front. The chemistry that comes with calling the games and executing the pass rush plan is underratedly difficult. So those guys deserve some credit. It felt like Bo's a tough guy to get on the ground. But you can't get frustrated. You got to just keep rushing. We got to keep taking the ball away in terms of the timing and taking the air out of some of the routes so those guys can get home. And I'm sure we'll watch the tape and say, oh, shoot, this is an opportunity where could have executed the coverage better. And then all of a sudden, now here come the sack numbers.
The Seahawks Insider is brought to you by Pacific Lamp and Supply. For the latest on the Seahawks anytime, go to seattlesports.com.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and, of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
Have you recently tried to get a loan to buy a piece of real estate? Are you tired of dealing with banks, credit unions, and their endless guidelines? Wouldn't it be nice to go back in time when we had common sense lending? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We are one of the largest local private portfolio lenders in Washington. We've helped thousands of home buyers and real estate investors reach their financial goals by leveraging the Legacy Common Sense borrowing platform. What that means is we lend our own money, we make our own decisions. If your deal makes sense, we'll get it done. Whether you're purchasing a new piece of real estate or refinancing an existing loan, bridge loans, construction, or regular home loan, it doesn't have to be as difficult as banks and lenders make it. If you're trying to grow wealth through real estate acquisition, come talk to the experts in private lending.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. Legacy Group Capital, your common sense lender. LegacyG.com.
This hour is brought to you by Floor Coverings International.
This is The Timeline
with Bump and Stacy.
Brought to you by 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
It is The Timeline on Bump and Stacy. The 49ers may be in some hot water with the NFL. This after they didn't announce Christian McCaffrey's availability until game time on Monday. Why is that a problem? Well, because maybe they didn't only find out at game time. In a post-game interview with ESPN's Lisa Salters, backup running back Jordan Mason, who had a phenomenal game, rushing for over 140, said that he knew he'd get the start on Friday.
When did you find out that you were going to be starting?
When did I find out? Maybe Friday night, something like that.
And maybe Jordan got a talking to because this is his answer in his press conference.
When did you find out that you'd be in the starting lineup?
That question right there is why I'm at. That's why I don't like really talking to media, because you say one thing wrong and then, I don't know. Just skip that question.
I'm so happy for Jordan's day and so happy for Jordan overall. However, I don't like that if this was something, Curtis, where Jordan was told on Friday he'd have to play for Christian McCaffrey and he'd be starting. Him slipping up and saying that is not his fault.
No.
It was the responsibility, truly like a league rule of the 49ers to report that injury and report that game status as being out or even being doubtful. And they didn't do that.
Yeah, this stinks for him because it's coming off the game of his life. First ever start in the NFL. He's a guy that was a journeyman before last night and then goes off and has just an incredible game against the Jets. And it stinks for him that that's not the story that we're talking about here on Monday, that him needing to cover for the 49ers front office and how they report their injuries, that's not a responsibility that should be placed on his shoulders, especially a guy who probably doesn't talk to the media quite often, or nowhere near as often as Christian McCaffrey does. So I would imagine those guys sort of near the end of the roster aren't as versed in sort of those conversations that go on behind closed doors with the team's front office and like how to handle these kinds of questions. I mean, he was asked the question, when did you know you were starting? And he was like, probably like Friday night is when I found out. So this should not be his fault, and he should not be taking the blame for something that the 49ers clearly were trying to work around.
253, this is why some of these guys are so suspect of talking to the media. It's because he doesn't have media training.
This is not the media's fault.
The media isn't out. There are bad apples everywhere. We literally saw a very bad arrest video of Tyreek Hill. There are not, on average, NFL reporters. Like we just had Bob Condota on. You know what Bob wants to do? Bob wants to get the story he needs for the day and be done with his day.
Yeah.
He wants to report on the relevant information for this team. The best running back in football last second was not playing in this game. And it is a league rule that you need to be very transparent with your injuries. You can't go NHL mode, lower body, we'll see what happens. Like you can't take that approach. It is not on Jordan to make sure that he describes this in the perfect way. Now, if Jordan said this in a way that was like there was a miscommunication, let's say Kyle Shanahan said, hey, we may need you to be ready to go. And Jordan said, I found out Friday that I could go, or I found out Friday I'd be playing. Let's say that there's just a miscommunication there. Then that's on Kyle Shanahan to then stand in front of reporters and go, hey, I actually told Jordan we may need you to be ready, and there was just a miscommunication here. We thought we could have Christian ready for Sunday or Monday. We were really hoping we could pull that off. The media isn't trying to get anyone in trouble. The media is just going, wait, you found out on Friday? This is news to all of us.
Yeah, because you're supposed to report these injuries as they happen. You're not really supposed to hide them because, you know, fantasy football and sports betting runs a big portion of the NFL revenue. And so, they just were – it sounds like they were not above board in all this. And the real blame should be levied towards, like you said, Kyle Shanahan and probably John Lynch as well. Because,
let Jordan enjoy this.
Yeah, this is not his fault. Yes, he did let it slip, but also that responsibility should not be placed on a player who has just kind of been thrust into the spotlight here.
I will say the majority of what I was seeing on X.com was people mostly defending Jordan, being like, hey, if Jordan misheard and misstated something, no one's upset with him except for the 49ers. If Jordan did not mishear and was asked a fair question, when did you find out? And oh, God, I found out Friday, and I was so nervous. And, I just knew. He's just trying to give praise to Christian McCaffrey and talk about, like, I wasn't expecting this. I just found out on Friday. Like, you can't let that guy take a bullet for the team. You need to get in front of it as a head coach. It's your responsibility to be like, this is not on Jordan. No. Let him enjoy what was a career game.
Right. I wonder if I don't think Shanahan has spoken in his day after game press conference today. I would imagine that comes up this afternoon. I'm sure there will be plenty of questions sent his way about this whole situation because it's what everybody's talking about right now.
Yep. Next up on Sunday's NFL Countdown, former Cowboys quarterback Drew Bledsoe didn't fondly remember the time he lost his starting job to Tony Romo in the 2006 season.
In Dallas, Parcells made the decision to yank me at halftime of a game and throw Romo in there. Really didn't agree with that one. If you're watching this, Romo, you know this was true. The minute that he became the starter, he became pretty big in his own mind. And he was no longer the curious, inquisitive guy. Well, that was the difference between him and Tommy. Tommy became the starter. He still was asking all the questions where all of a sudden Romo was the guy that had all the answers.
Wow.
He's not happy.
Wow.
That's pretty blunt.
Everything I have heard about Tony Romo in terms of like his preparation that he does or may not do for his job in CBS, or this from Drew Bledsoe, who I think is a very honest dude, doesn't have a reason to lie about this. Tony may need to mend some fences across the NFL because he doesn't seem to have a lot of supporters out there.
Next and last story here in the timeline, Curtis. Netflix announced an Aaron Rodgers docu-series titled Enigma, which will release December, that the quarterback is obviously involved in.
Aaron's so silenced these days. There's just not enough Aaron Rodgers.
No, I have such a love-hate relationship with Aaron Rodgers. He was one of my absolute favorite quarterbacks to watch when I was younger.
Dude can sling it.
And I don't mean younger. I mean, obviously, when he was first coming up. And I loved watching Aaron Rodgers. And I would totally I rooted for the Packers in that Super Bowl win over the Steelers. And he also is, I think, the victim of being a genuinely intelligent person who thinks he's the smartest guy in the room.
Yes, he absolutely does. He's Cal educated.
Yeah.
Every Cal Berkeley person is the smartest person in their mind. And I can't imagine there's going to be anything in this documentary series about Aaron Rodgers that we don't already know about him. It's just going to be maybe from his point of view.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably see him go on some ayahuasca trip. We'll probably see him, meditating at a Buddhist temple somewhere. He has put himself so far out there for a guy that likes to say, I don't like doing media and whatnot. It's okay, but you have made yourself the star of a lot of teams that you're on and continue even in the off season. So I'm getting Aaron Rodgers fatigue. I think I've already had it.
Yeah, that's fair. We're going to take a look around the NFL with NFL Network senior writer Jeffrey Chidaha coming up at noon, about 20 minutes from now. Before we do, let's check back in on the Mariners with Jeff Passan. Don't go anywhere.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
You look at it, the Broncos scored 20 points. 10 of those are on the offense. Those 2 field goals, those are wins for the defense, considering where they started. Couldn't imagine a worse start, first 2 plays. Offense, Geno, O-line, keeping their composure.
That's what I saw from Geno. I was really surprised. And I looked down there with my binoculars. I expected him to be pissed off and screaming and yelling. And he was having a very calm conversation with his offense. So, yeah, kudos to Geno. No panic. That was key.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Want to listen to Seattle Sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle Sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
O'Brien Auto Group has some of the best new car brands in the Northwest. Those great new vehicles make the best pre-owned vehicles as well. O'BrienAutoGroup.com for the best factory certified vehicles. O'BrienAutoGroup.com for a large selection of the best pre-owned cars and trucks. O'BrienAutoGroup.com. Choose from hundreds of SUVs, trucks, hybrids, EVs, and more. O'BrienAutoGroup.com. One site is all you need. That's OBRIEN Autogroup.com.
O'Brien. There's still time to get your roof done this summer with Riverside Roofing's quick quote at riversideroofingllc.com. Enter the details of your project and you're only 60 seconds away from starting on a new roof. At Riverside Roofing, the roofing company you can trust.
Hey, I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie, and one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Hello? Hey, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. Did you know we've got you fully covered?
I've taken up beekeeping. I'm always covered.
I'm talking the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage at up to half the cost.
Same honey? Half the work?
Exactly.
Sweet.
Just call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Stacey Rost here. It's time to recognize a woman in our sports community with the 2024 Women of Inspiration Award. The nominations are in, and the Seattle chapter of WISE, which stands for Women in Sports and Events, needs your help selecting a winner. Voting is open now until September 20th at WOISeattle.org. The winner will receive a generous cash donation from Wise and their partners for the cause of their choice. Help honor a local woman today. Vote by September 20th at woiseattle.org.
Hawks Live.
Thursday nights from 7 to 9.
Live from Bellevue Square Center Court.
Geno Smith has himself a day.
Presented by the Dining District of the Bellevue Collection.
On Seattle Sports.
Have you been searching for a local, trustworthy group of professionals to assist with your mortgage? Hey, this is Brock Heward, and you can count on Tila Mortgage. They've been the go-to mortgage experts in Washington for over 25 years. If you are 62 or older and want to learn more about reverse mortgages, well, Tila can help you decide if it's the right choice for you. If monthly payments are impacting your credit score and just killing your cash flow, Tila can assist you in consolidating your debt with proven programs like a refinance loan or a home equity line of credit, a HELOC, enabling you to maintain your low fixed rate first mortgage. Additionally, if you're purchasing a new home, well, Tila can guide you through the ins and outs of a home loan as well. With hundreds of 5-star reviews, Tila, spelled T-I-L-A, is a trusted source for honest and ethical mortgage advice. Call Tila today at 206-766-8888 or
Tila Mortgage LLC is a mortgage broker. NMLS 2472046.
Let's talk about your hair. Well, maybe after we talk about my hair. I've got great hair, as you know, and it's because of Advanced Hair. Yep, Advanced Hair Restoration. Their simple one-day treatment offers life-changing results that I can attest to. Guys, it's not magic, but it's close to it. They put hair where you need it most, and bam, it grows. It's actual science. Advanced Hair has top-rated physicians, modern technology, and best of all, you get your very own natural hair that begins to regrow the very next day. It's even guaranteed to grow for life. So schedule your free consultation now at 425-449-8185. Mention Curly to qualify for $250 off and $250 free hair grafts. It's a limited time offer. Advanced Hair, the winner of the 425 Business of the Year, and the team that gave me my hair back. More importantly, they'll do the same for you, guaranteed. 425-449-8185 or advancedhair.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right, we are going to get back to the NFL in about 15 minutes. Before we do, let's get back to the Mariners. Jeff Passan was on Brock and Salk this morning talking about the Mariners' hitting approach changes. Here's what he had to say about the idea of tossing analytics.
All of the players who are coming up through systems in Major League Baseball right now are not just indoctrinated into this, but they like it. They like the information. They like the data. That's what they grew up with. That's what they know. That's the language they speak. And if you're a coach, the number one goal you have is being able to speak the language of the players who you're trying to teach. And I worry that if you're talking in generalities rather than the specifics that they are not just used to, but are seeking out on a daily basis, that suddenly you're not, even with your Hall of Fame credentials, you're not going to register as being helpful to them. Because you are not, as Edgar Martinez hitting coach, going to be hearing what they are trying to say, and thus the communication breakdown starts.
Curtis, I'm going to go ahead and translate that as Jeff being asked, what do you make of the idea of tossing analytics, and him going, how dare you? How dare you?
The audacity of somebody to do it differently. I totally get where Jeff Passan is coming from. I mean, he is one of the most in tune with baseball data of anybody that covers the game. I mean, he is always crunching the numbers on stuff, and I totally get where he's coming from, and he's right. Like, these are numbers, these are data points that are driven into these players' heads from the time they basically reach pro ball, maybe even before then. And we're seeing just, places like Driveline and all these breakdown swings to, the exact degree of a launch point you need to get to. And that is a ton of information for these guys to absorb. And I don't know if that is the best way to go about what mechanically is, a pretty simple thing if you've played baseball your entire life. I know hitting a baseball is incredibly hard. Like, I'm not, saying that, everybody should be hitting 300, but it's like do you really need to be thinking about all of this when you're up at the plate and your job is to put the bat on the ball, or your job is to move the runner along, your job is to reach base, or your job is to drive the runs in? Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't need to be as complicated as it has been by this coaching staff over the course of, however long the Mariners offense has been playing like this. I totally get where Jeff Passan's coming from, because I would imagine if he was coaching baseball, he would be all about data and all about just making this, fit this image of what he has of what good baseball looks like.
Yeah, he's a nerd. Just say it to his face.
Exactly. Yeah, a nerd. Look, buddy, class is out, man. We're not in school anymore.
We're literally starting school back up.
Oh, that's true.
It is September.
My daughter went to preschool.
Literally went to
for the first time
day of school yesterday. Jeff says that there, is undoubtedly some kind of issue with either the way that Mariners hitting coaches are communicating, with what's being communicated, with the approach that the Mariners have. But he does wonder if there's a risk in shutting out analytics.
And to me, when the Mariners are going through what they're going through offensively right now, and the coaching by committee has not worked, I almost wonder if you need one really big, stable voice who can bring everybody in. And if that stable voice, who you're wanting to bring everyone in, is just straight up shutting out part of the process that at least half, and I would venture to say more than half of the hitters on this team and in Major League Baseball rely upon, then are you limiting the ability of those players to succeed?
Do you think that it limits the ceilings of Seattle's hitters if you leave out or toss some of that information or keep it away from them?
I think potentially yes. And I think that because ultimately this is a small sample size, what the Mariners have done under Edgar Martinez, and it is working for them right now, but there are going to be pitching staffs that recognize habits that Mariners hitters are getting into with this new direction that they're receiving, and they're probably going to pitch in a way where the Mariners aren't able to take advantage of those new habits that they picked up. It is always a chess match. It's a constant chess match in baseball. And I think leaning into some of those analytics can unlock things that simply looking at the traditional stats of home runs, RBIs, batting average, on-base percentage, it can unlock things that those stats don't tell you about the success of a swing or whatnot. But it has not been working for the Mariners this season in making it so analytical and making it just really tough to comprehend. So I can see why the Mariners are maybe stripping things down a little bit, putting Edgar in with his more old school approach and seeing different results, because it's just simply another way of doing it. Passan mentioned how he was like, maybe the Mariners should just have one guy as their hitting coach and everybody reports to that guy, because at the beginning of this season, you basically had three. You had Brant Brown, who was the offensive coordinator, whatever that means. And then you had Jarrett DeHart, who was one of the assistant hitting coaches. And then you've got Tommy Joseph, who is still there, and he's kind of like Edgar's assistant hitting coach. I mean, three guys for one role. That's who do you report to? Who do you take direction from? Now you've got Edgar Martinez there, and I think everybody's just kind of like, well, that guy knows hitting. I'm not going to disagree with what he has to say.
You can take a listen to the rest of Jeff Passan's interview on Brock and Salk's podcast this morning. You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. We are diving back into the NFL next.
Hawks Live.
Thursday nights from 7 to 9.
Live from Bellevue Square Center Court. Join former Seahawks Michael Bumpus and Paul Moyer as they go deep on the Hawks with player interviews and opponents' analysis.
And we look like offensively the team that we thought we were.
How do we win a football game? That's what makes you a great quarterback.
Every Thursday night throughout the Hawks season.
Geno Smith has himself a day.
Presented by the Dining District at the Bellevue Collection.
On Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
I have a handful of stories that really affected me personally in my career and how I handle employees. Lee Johnson coming out of his office as a customer asking where the service department is. And I was like, yeah, go to the end of the hall, go up the stairs, go across the breezeway, open a door, go to the left. You want Chevy, go to the right. You want Mazda? Because I didn't even have enough time to say, hey, what kind of car do you have? Here comes Lee, and it's like, oh, man, come with me. Let me show you. And then have him come back and not dress me down. It's just almost like with that fatherly disappointment of like, that's not how we take care of people. I mean, the right way is to walk her down to the stairs, walk her up the stairs, open the door for her, go over, cross the way, open up that door, introduce her to somebody. So she's comfortable, she's made it to the right place, and that we value the business. What you did was you made it seem like she was an inconvenience to you. Customers are the purpose of our day.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
This is Stacey Rost. Is that leaky faucet driving you crazy? Don't wait until it becomes a flood. Call Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air. At Ben's Plumbing, they pride themselves on 5-star service, where your satisfaction is their priority. Whether it's a stubborn clog or a complete plumbing overhaul, their team of dedicated professionals is here to help with no commission sales tactics. Just honest, reliable service you can count on. Call today at 206-789-5353 or visit Ben's.plumbing. That's Ben's.plumbing.
I'm attorney Rob Iddens, proud Marine Corps veteran and owner of Warrior Injury Law. I'm a 5th-generation Pacific Northwesterner, graduated from UW and Seattle U School of Law. At Warrior Injury Law, we have years of experience in the trenches, fighting insurance companies for the people of Washington, my people. Forward, if you've been injured, you need a lawyer that is tough, confident, and battle-tested. Call us at 253-WARRIOR for your free case review. Warrior Injury Law, battle-tested.
Eddie's! This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible. It's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Buying or selling a home is a big deal, literally. It's one of the largest financial transactions you're likely to make. So work with someone who will work with your best interests in mind. Someone who agrees to operate with transparency, honesty, and fairness every step of the way. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors and are bound by a strict code of ethics that requires they put your interests above their own. Because that's who we are. Make sure your agent is a Realtor.
September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, and you may see your favorite football and baseball teams wearing light blue towels, armbands, or ribbons. It's all in an effort to increase awareness of the second most common cancer and the number 2 cause of cancer death for males. Prostate cancer, when detected early, is curable. In Seattle, Swedish CyberKnife offers a non-invasive and highly precise treatment for prostate cancer. When other radiation treatments may last 6 to 9 weeks, Swedish CyberKnife treatment is typically 5 days, and each session lasts less than an hour. The system delivers radiation with extreme accuracy, sparing healthy tissue. The vast majority of CyberKnife patients experience minimal side effects and can continue normal activities during treatment. If you, a friend, or a family member is diagnosed with prostate cancer, consider Swedish CyberKnife. Go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
Let's go! This This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Kraken have announced a 4-year contract extension with defenseman Adam Larson. Larson was headed into the final season of a 4-year, $16 million deal signed with Seattle back in 2021. The Mariners are back in action today after an off day yesterday. They'll open a series against the San Diego Padres at 6:40 p.m. Pre-game show starts at 5:30 p.m. right here on Seattle Sports.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Taking a look around the NFL after an exciting week 1. We are going to start in Seattle, but lots to talk about with NFL Network and NFL.com senior writer Jeffrey Chadia joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hey, Jeffrey, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Very well. Obviously coming off a week 1 win here in Seattle to talk about. Jeffrey, I'm going to start there, but I have so many questions for you. So I'll start with just your first reactions to Seahawks Broncos. You can go Bo Nix. You can go Seahawks defense. I just want to know how you're feeling.
I think a little bit of both right there. First of all, you knew when you hired Mike McDonald that he was going to come in there and he was going to play good defense. And you saw that. I mean, 16 points, 230 yards. From what I saw, that defense was flying around and really believed in his system. And that it helps when you've got a rookie quarterback on the other side in Bo Nix. And as excited as people are about his future in Denver, I think he found out how hard it is to play football in this league when the games are real. And he had quite the challenge. And Seattle clearly knew that he was going to try and throw short and not try to take too many risks. And that's tough. It's tough to win in the NFL when you're playing that way. So I felt as if the outcome was predictable. The Seahawks played good defense, and Bo Nix had a tough day.
Yeah, he had a really rough day of it. Jeff, looking at the Seahawks performance defensively, like you said, limiting Denver to what they did, who stood out to you on that defensive side of the ball, being like, oh, maybe there's another level to this guy in Mike McDonald's defense that maybe we haven't seen yet in his game?
Well, I think, to be honest with you, I think he's somebody, you look at his history in college and in Baltimore, he's really good in the secondary. And I think you look at Julian Love, obviously Reek Woolen is somebody who's had success there in the past. I think that secondary is going to really be a big part of what they're able to do defensively because he loves to play that matchup zone style of football. It requires a ton of communication. And you saw in Baltimore, again, go back to a guy like Julian Love, you saw what happened to Kyle Hamilton in that defense. You saw what happened to Geno Stone in that defense. I mean, safeties really play at a high level on that side of the football for him because he asked so much of them from communication and responsibility. So I would think someone in that secondary, especially a safety like Julian Love, could really have a big, big season.
Hey, Jeffrey, gonna go ahead and take a step back to Thursday night's game as we start looking around the league. I was so happy with the introduction we got to the NFL season between the Ravens and the Chiefs. It feels like the Chiefs are picking up where they left off, but what stood out to you from this one?
Well, once again, it's, and I hate to be somebody who beats up on Lamar Jackson because I would think he's a phenomenal quarterback, but those little moments, actually those big moments where he can't make the plays that are going to decide the outcome are still his bugaboo. And as much as people focus on the last play of that game when Isaiah Likely couldn't get his foot down, it's really the first two throws that I think should be frustrating for the Ravens because those are throws that he can make, throws that could have easily been touchdowns that didn't require some phenomenal catch by the receiver, and he couldn't deliver. And so as good as the Chiefs looked, and I think they're always going to be a really good team with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes there, I think the Ravens are right there with them.
Right.
But for whatever reason, when they play the Chiefs, they just can't make those plays that put them over the top. I mean, losing 4 out of 5 games in the Mahomes era is an indictment of that.
Jeffrey, this also last weekend we saw Jordan Love go down with an injury. It's still TBD on when he might return. Doesn't sound like it'll be either this week or maybe next week, but How big of an impact will his loss be on this Packers team, a team that I think a lot of people are looking at as maybe a dark horse in the NFC?
Well, it's huge. It's huge. And, I hate to make fun of their backup situation, but when I heard Malik Willis was coming into the game, when he went down, I thought, man, they're really in bad shape now. That's plan B, a guy who they just picked up from Tennessee who couldn't make it work there. I think it's going to be tough because there's so much, not just because he's a really a great talent and got a really bright future, but because you could tell being around that training camp that there's a lot of excitement about what they were about to become with all the playmakers and the new defensive coordinator. And you saw that in that game. They can do a lot with that team. And without him there, it's a big hit. But fortunately, it may not be as bad as they thought, and hopefully he can be back in a few weeks.
It wasn't the most amazing week for a lot of teams, right? Everyone's ironing out the kinks. Dak Prescott got a mega contract extension, $60 million per an average annual value, before that game kicked off. I mean, Cowboys won, which was great, but what did you make of Dallas's decision to pay Dak? And do you think we're going to hit any kind of wall in terms of what top quarterbacks are making?
I thought the way this thing was playing out that it might be like a Kirk Cousins type situation where let's see where they're at the end of the year, how the Cowboys do if they make the playoffs. They can make a run. If they don't, then maybe, hey, this was great, but we can't keep paying high prices for a quarterback that can't get us deep into the playoffs. But they found a way to get it done, and it's great for Dak Prescott. But I'm one of those people who believes, like you just said, that at some point there has to be – logic's got to play into this. And if you're paying quarterbacks crazy money and they're not getting you championships or getting you deep playoff runs, then what are we doing this for? Because really Dak Prescott may have an easier case to make on the NFC side, but when you look at Tua Tagovailoa and Trevor Lawrence getting $55 million plus a year, it's like those guys are still the same as their own conference. Like they're not beating Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Joe Burrow. And so, if you gave a lot of GMs true serum, they would agree with what you're saying. Like, there's people out there who do believe it's better to build a good roster and find a quarterback who's more affordable to play in and take that road than to keep paying big money and having to make these tough salary cap decisions.
Well, and another tough salary cap decision that Dallas is faced with is what do you do about Micah Parsons, who is very deserving of a new contract, probably will reset the market, probably end up being the highest paid defensive player in football. But do you think that's going to be in Dallas? I mean, you can't let a guy like that walk, right? Like, he is such an impactful player.
No, you can't. And really, Trayvon Diggs is right there behind him because he's coming up for a contract too. And the cornerback market, as you just saw with Jalen Ramsey and Patrick Surtain Jr. is pretty steep as well. And so I can see the Cowboys paying all those guys because they are stars. And what you have to hope if you're a Dallas fan is they're able to do what the Rams have done. Like, you can get away with paying a small amount of guys a bunch of money, but you really have to draft well. You really have to hit on your second and third day picks, and that gives you a chance to be good, consistently. Like the Rams, people thought that they would never be good again after they went all in a couple of years ago and won a championship and paid a bunch of money to a bunch of different guys, and they're still back in the mix now because guys like Kyron Williams and some other players they picked up, Puka Nacua. Mid-round picks have worked out for them. And so that's what Dallas is going to have to do because they're paying steep prices for these guys. They better draft really well.
Hey, Jeffrey, for NFL.com, one of your takeaways from week one or the things that stood out to you was the Bengals losing to New England. I was hoping to get a bit of insight from you because, as you know, the Seahawks are taking on the Patriots in week 2 on the road, going to be out at Gillette Stadium. So what stood out to you from this game and maybe if you have any insight, especially into the Patriots part of it?
Well, get ready for a lot of boring football. I mean, they're going to be very basic in what they do. Yeah. They're going to run the ball, and they're going to try to play good defense, and they're not going to take too many chances down the field. And look, I mean, I don't want to take away from what Gerard Mayo, their head coach, did in their first game, but this felt a lot like the Bengals thought they were going to win the game without having to do a lot of work. And for Seattle, I think going in there, it probably is going to be. It's probably a good thing for them to have seen that, because now they know, okay, this team's not laying down, and we're going to have to go in here and we have to play these guys. We're going to have to defend the run. We're going to have to not turn the ball over, and really, I imagine it was interesting in that game because the Bengals never really got their downfield passing going. Jamar Chase had 6 catches. T. Higgins didn't play. I could see guys like DK Metcalf and that whole crew really trying to do some more things down the field to open things up for them. But, yeah, I'm sure it's New England opened up some eyes, and the Bengals, unfortunately, they get to come to Kansas City for week 2 to try to get their things turned around.
Well, and with that surprise performance from the Patriots, was there any team in week 1 that you saw that maybe made you rethink what they're capable of, either good or bad?
Oh, that's a good question. I really was surprised by Atlanta because I was one of those people who thought Kirk Cousins would show up there and it would look a lot better, and all those young offensive players they got would just take off, and they looked bad. They looked lost. And I know Cousins didn't play at all in the preseason, and the Steelers are really good defensively and usually start strong. So you want to take that into account, but I was really surprised at how little they could do with as much hype as there's been around Atlanta. And so Tampa started pretty quickly, played well in that first game, and it just felt as if, man, I could see Tampa winning that division again now. If Atlanta can't get that thing going quickly.
Yeah, Baker with 4 touchdowns. Holy cow. Hey, speaking of Baker, his former team, one of the most fascinating kind of quarterback situations in the league right now, to me, is obviously Deshaun in Cleveland and then Bryce Young in Carolina, focusing on Watson first. Is there a chance that he just never figures it out with Cleveland? Because that was a horrid performance for the Browns and Watson in week 1.
Yeah, I think that it's not even a chance. I think it's more like a probability that it doesn't happen. Just because, look, I get that they were desperate for a quarterback, and they had a great roster when they got him, and he had a great resume as a player on the field when he showed up. But it's so obvious that it's a bad fit. And there are some quarterbacks in this league, if you put them in the wrong offense with the wrong play caller, it's not going to work. And Deshaun Watson, and people inside the league have said this for a number of years already with him there, that it's just, Kevin Stefanski wants to run a 49ers-like offense, a lot of play action, a lot of run, and Deshaun Watson is a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, like free-willing kind of quarterback. And unfortunately for him, he can't sustain success in that system for very long. You saw what Joe Flacco was able to do in 4 games. Like, he looked very comfortable, and that offense was very explosive there. And in a lot of ways, it's a lot like, you guys know the story of Russell Wilson in Seattle versus Russell Wilson everywhere else. You take a guy and put him someplace else, and all of a sudden, it's the same player, but now we know why he was successful, because he had the right pieces around him. And I think that's the cautionary tale with Deshaun Watson right now.
It may be a similar tale for Bryce Young, kind of looking at that other storyline with Carolina, who were just absolutely walloped by the Saints. Do you think Panthers fans should start being worried, or is it still way too early in his career?
Oh, I think they need to be worried. I feel like I've had people, again, inside the league say to me after last year that, there's a lot of things I like about him, but they were stunned at how small he looked on the field when he got into the NFL. Like, they just could not imagine. And that's a real thing, going back to the Russell Wilson thing. Yeah. If you're not a super athletic quarterback, if you're not, if you can't run and evade and at that height, it's hard. It's really hard. And that's something that I think the Panthers are going through. Now, they've got to get other pieces around him and help him in that way. But, yeah, I feel like it was shocking how bad they looked in that game, because to be getting beat 47-10 by a Saints team that's probably not going to make the playoffs is not a good look for Dave Canales. I know he was in Seattle with Geno Smith, and he helped Baker figure things out in Tampa, but this may be a whole different makeover he's trying to do in Carolina. To me, it was a reality show. It might be the toughest contestant he's had so far.
Speaking of guys that have history here in Seattle. Russell Wilson looks like he will not start the Steelers' second game of the season against the Broncos. Would have been a return for him to Denver, first time since leaving the Broncos. Do you think we see Russ start a single game with Pittsburgh this season? Because it feels like Justin Fields is much more the future in Pittsburgh than Russ is.
Yeah, I felt as if that situation was going to play out with Russ starting and then them trying to find ways to work Justin Fields in, knowing Arthur Smith, and he likes the quarterback run game. And so that seemed to be, at some point, there was going to be a natural transition into Justin Fields being a starter. And now that Russ is already banged up again, it just feels as if, Justin Fields would have to play himself out of that position now. Like it wouldn't make sense to be going back and forth. And if he's able to play a couple of good games, even just a good game, meaning get the win and just be solid, that's probably enough for him to hold on to that job, because Russ is only got a year there, and they need to find out what Justin Fields is, because if they're going to, pay him moving forward, they got to know what they have in him. And so I do agree with you that it happened faster than I thought, but it was going to happen sooner or later that Justin Fields was going to be under center for that team.
He is NFL Network and NFL.com senior writer Jeffrey Chadilla, kind enough to join us. Jeff, we really love following your work throughout the season, so it's always really cool to get you on where we can actually ask some questions after reading your articles. Also, you guys can catch Jeffrey on today's edition of The Insiders on NFL Network, airing at 4 p.m. Pacific. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, guys. I definitely appreciate it.
See ya. All right, let's get to Hype Train. Lots of good stuff from Jeffrey. I thought his stuff on Bryce Young was very interesting. Like, I always love getting national guys and gals on here where they can be like, yeah, I actually heard from this person the X, Y, and Z. And you're like, ooh, spill that tea.
All right, Jeffrey.
Let's hear about it.
Yeah.
It does make me sad because, again, Bryce Young, part of my all-petite team.
Yeah, he's 5'11", they say?
On a good day.
Yeah.
They say. Me too. We are going to start with the Seattle Seahawks. Looked like a markedly improved defensive performance in week one. Your first hype train is pretty simple, focusing on one part of this. The Hawks' run defense improvements are real. They allowed 99 yards on the ground, including just 64 from running backs.
I'm boarding that train. I think this is going to be their most improved facet of this defense in 2024. This run defense is going to be stout. Byron Murphy played really well on Sunday. Mike McDonald said so, especially in the run game. I think that's going to be a huge impact. Leonard Williams, too. Those are two guys that the Seahawks didn't have to start the season last year. Now you've got both of them. I think this run defense is going to be just a drastic improvement over what we saw. Now, even a league average run defense is a drastic improvement over what the Seahawks have been for like the last 3 or 4 years. But yeah, if you can continue to stack games like that where the leading rusher is the quarterback and they get 35 yards, I'll take that every single day.
Matt, congratulations. You're being roped in to play Hype Train.
Another ball knower.
The Hawks run. Matt hates sports. The Hawks run defensive improvements are real. Are you boarding this train?
I'm going to derail this hype train.
Wow, Matt. But we wanted to play the all
Matt's kind of a Seahawk
horn.
hater. I am. I'm just a hater.
I know, you really are, but you're so
Sports
good at
people,
it.
you see one thing go good for 1 week and you're ready to just proclaim, oh, it's fixed. No, it's not.
Sometimes we need Matt to be honest with us sports people.
That's true. Us over here
I
being
know.
all sportsy.
Remember when someone asked us, a non-sports person asked us about the Mariners' special games?
Oh, yeah. Somebody in this building
Asked us.
They came. This was after Cal Raleigh had hit the walk-off home
You guys
run
are all going to do this now, by the
to
way.
win or to clinch a playoff spot for the Mariners. Somebody who I will not name names because people in this building listen to this show.
Well, and I don't know what they do for their job. I couldn't do their job.
They come over here to our studio, which is just down the hall, and they open our studio door in the middle of the show. They go, so what's the deal with these Mariners special games? And they just throw their hands up in just disbelief.
That's now what I call the playoffs.
These special games.
I call playoff special games. Okay, so the special games start next week.
Yeah, the NFL special games.
Forget you, Matt. I'm boarding this train. The Hawks defensive run game improvements I do think are real. Do I think that they're going to hold running backs to 64 or fewer yards? No, I don't. But I felt like there was sure tackling. I felt like there weren't major miscommunication issues. And I also think Javonte Williams is a really solid running back. And they made the Seahawks defense really good plays to limit them. I'll also say this, Curtis. The Detroit Lions had the second best run defense in football last year. Guess where they ranked in 2022?
30th.
Okay, well, they were 29th.
Right. Oh, 29th?
The point is, earlier in the show, I said, look, you're not going to limit opposing offenses to 3.3 yards per offensive play. The very best defense limited opponents to 4.6. That's not a realistic number. Going from one of the worst run defenses to one of the best run defenses over the course of a single offseason is possible. It's very difficult, but sometimes it's a key free agent addition and a key draft pick, and that's enough. That's the way it was for Detroit.
You know, Matt was incredibly right in him saying that us sports people see something
so
happen
washed.
for 1 week,
Yeah.
and we're like, oh, it's fixed, because you and I both boarded this train.
We sure did, with the quickness. Next up.
We played ourselves.
The Rams, speaking of the Lions, fell to Detroit in overtime. Montgomery running it down to get into the end zone. The Rams are going to face off against the Cardinals, so we'll give you this one. The Rams start the season 0-2 with a loss to Arizona in week 2.
So this Cardinals team, they gave the Bills some fits early on. I think they were up 17-0 at one point on Sunday. I'm kind of a slight believer in this Cardinals team.
Okay.
I like what I see from them. They've got some pieces. I think they knock off the Rams in week 2. LA starts the season 0-2. They're the most surprising 0-2 team in the NFL. So I'm boarding that train. I think the Rams get off to a slow start this season, and it's a tough haul after you get off that 0-2 start trying to make the playoffs.
Matt, I'll give you information you need for this one.
Oh, thank God.
The Rams were tied with the Lions, a very good team, going into overtime on Sunday night's game, and they didn't even get the ball in overtime, so they didn't even get a chance to tie it. They're pretty solid offensively, even though they make mistakes.
Okay.
The Cardinals put up a solid first half against a very good Bills team and then completely collapsed, but they've got one of the best, maybe rookie receiving weapons. Are the Rams going to lose to the Cardinals and start the season 0-2?
I think you want me not to board the train.
I want you to do what you want to do.
I think you don't want me on the train, which makes me want to get on the train all the more. I'm wise to your games.
That's really what Hype Train is. It's a chess match.
I am against my better judgment boarding this train. So that I could play that cut.
No.
Matt, can we have it one more time?
Stacey gets her own specific horn.
No, that's the all aboard. Didn't you hear me? All aboard.
Yeah.
It's when everyone boards the train.
Oh, wow. That's new.
Yeah, we recorded that secretly behind your guys' backs.
Unbelievable.
I actually think that the Rams are the better team here, but they took on a lot of injuries, particularly up front after this one. And if they can't get right in time, while I think that they are a better offense than Arizona and perfectly capable of handling the Cardinals, I worry about the health of that team. So against my better judgment, and mostly because I wanted to hear all aboard. Next one. Russell Wilson may not be starting in week 2. It sure looks like the Steelers are going to go with Justin Fields. This is your hype train. Russell Wilson starts at least one game this season for the Steelers.
Not boarding. I don't think it happens. I think it's Justin Fields' job now. Russ had his shot, and I think Mike Tomlin is a guy that is not here for the drama. He's here to play some ball, and Russell Wilson's not doing that right now. So I don't think he starts a single game for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2024.
Whew. Russell Wilson starts at least one game with the Steelers. Matt, who someone on the Mac and Jacks text line says, is he a Dungeons and Dragons guy or what?
I'm not. Even those nerds, I do not like.
Wow, there's another level of nerddom that
beneath you
cannot sign off on.
Sad yet true.
Matt, are you boarding this train? Russell Wilson starts at least one game this year.
I hate to agree with Curtis, but my hatred for Russell Wilson exceeds that, so I'll also not board the train.
You don't like him because when you were running the Seahawks board all those years, his post-game press conferences would cause you to stay an extra 25 minutes.
That is exactly the reason. he would get up there late and he would not leave.
You guys are tripping. I'm absolutely boarding this train, and I'll tell you why for 2 reasons. Number 1, Justin Fields did not even earn this job. The job was initially given to Russell Wilson. This team did not feel so confident in Justin Fields that they were willing to hang their hat on starting him and say, like, this guy's it. Number 2, Justin Fields can run for his life, and he can do it pretty well, but that also puts you at risk of injury. And I think that there is an opportunity here for Russell Wilson to start because Justin Fields simply can't play. I think that we're going to see that kind of situation before we see Russell Wilson not start a single game. All right, you guys, you are listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus, taking a look around the NFL next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Saul.
That was the best defensive performance I've seen from the Seahawks in at least 5 years, and I think it's probably longer than that. And there's no doubt that having a rookie quarterback making his debut on the road, all of those things help.
You still have to make him miserable.
That's right, and the Seahawks have not made anybody miserable. Yeah. Some of the guys that have torched the defense in the last 5 or 6 years are terrible and just as bad as Bo Nix, and they made him look ridiculous.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Roof now, pay later. Hi, I'm Sam Thomason, owner of State Roofing. Take advantage of our 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to a year. We've partnered with leading lenders to make the replacement or repair of your roof affordable. Flexible financing options are available to take the worry out of an unexpected expense. Call us today at 866-ROOF-ROOF to schedule a free no-obligation estimate or visit us at stateroofing.com. That's stateroofing.com.
State Roofing, the best roof you'll ever need.
For over 111 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington. From the Space Needle in Seattle and now all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist you with any lighting issue, as well as help with intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting expert since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
John here with Happy Hauler. Furniture and household items you plan to throw away? We'll take them and prioritize donating and recycling, keeping items out of the landfill. Happy Hauler is Seattle's eco-friendly junk removal. HappyHauler.com, hauling with a heart.
It's time to turn it up at T-Mobile Park. The next Mariners Fireworks Night, presented by T-Mobile, is this Friday. And it's going to be a dance party you won't want to miss. After the Mariners take on the Rangers at 7:10, stick around for an epic show curated by world-famous DJ Diplo. Get ready to drop to the beat as we light up the sky with a fireworks spectacular that'll have you on your feet.
Swing and a miss, a missile up above the zone. Ryan Wu has had it cooking tonight in Seattle.
So grab your crew and head to Mariners.com to lock in your tickets for the hottest party in town. Plus, check out all that's happening at T-Mobile Park during the final stretch of the regular season, including a Luis Castillo Funko Pop giveaway this Saturday and a marquee matchup against the Yankees Tuesday the 17th through Thursday the 19th.
That baby's way gone! Big Cal! Another 2-home run performance!
Mariners baseball. Trident's up.
Thursday, September 12th, enjoy Northwest Folklife Super Folk on Pier 62 at Waterfront Park, a celebration of music and culture. Free for all ages, 6 to 8 p.m. Full list of summer events at waterfrontparkseattle.org. Brought to you by Friends of Waterfront Park.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
Seahawks Player Spotlight.
Man, it felt good to go out there and be able to contribute.
Exclusive interviews with your favorite Seahawks.
You know, we got a genius as the head coach.
Every day with Wyman and Bob. Seahawks Insider. Brought to you by Pacific Lamp and Supply. Now here's Maura Dooley.
New Seahawks linebacker Tyrell Dotson posted on social media that his first game at Lumen Field was electric, and he said he appreciated the 12s for coming out and supporting. But as McDonald told the Brock and Salk show Monday, there were some complications with them hearing each other for the play calls. Here, Dotson explains how they got around that issue.
Yeah, I remember that question. It went beautiful, man. Lumen was loud, so before the game, I actually was in my room last night doing like charades with the signals and stuff like that, but it worked out perfectly. Me, Julian, Ray, Lispoon, Reek, Kayvon, we're all on the same page, and man, it's beautiful when you have good communication.
The Seahawks Insider is brought to you by Pacific Lamp and Supply. For the latest on the Seahawks anytime, go to seattlesports.com.
Have you considered surgery or even joint replacement? Hey, it's Dave Wyman, and before you make that decision, see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Why? Because he gives it to you straight. Dr. Wagner said my right knee needs replacement, and I appreciate his honesty and expertise. My left knee is fine right now, but the minute it isn't, I'm heading to Dr. Wagner for his expert opinion. I want to avoid another surgery, and I've heard so many patients rave about results from their 90-minute outpatient stem cell procedure with Dr. Wagner. He's a board-certified Seattle physician with over 30 years of experience and has performed more than 20,000 stem cell procedures using a person's own stem cells to regenerate cartilage in their own joints. People with severe osteoarthritis, even bone on bone, are back doing what they enjoy without pain and without surgery. Whether it's a shoulder, hip, elbow, ankle, wrist, or knee, before choosing surgery, see Dr. Mark Wagner first. Go to drmarkwagnermd.com.
For many of us, it's happening. Your hair is thinning. Your crown is disappearing. Hair loss had me feeling like I was losing my identity altogether. Well, I've got some good news. It's a simple one-day treatment that worked for me. The Advanced FUE from Advanced Hair. It starts growing new hair the very next day, and it's guaranteed to grow for life. We've all seen the pills and lotions that come with monthly memberships. Those can help retain what you have. But what if you want your own natural hair in specific areas like I did? You decide how much, how thick, and where. From Advanced Hair's state-of-the-art facilities to the world-class leading doctors like Dr. Parango, it's not a maybe your hair will grow. It's guaranteed that your new hair will grow. For your free consultation, $250 off and 250 free hair grafts, call 425-449-8185. Advanced Hair is the winner of the 425 Business of the Year, and they are the team that I personally recommend. That's 425-449-8185 or advancedhair.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right, so the number one story to come out of the NFL yesterday was not about anything that took place on the field. That was, of course, a police report of Tyreek Hill speeding citation. It says the wide receiver was traveling at an estimated 60 miles per hour. Also, there was a officer body cam worn video that was released by the department that was making the rounds on Twitter. If you haven't seen it, Tyreek Hill is stopped for reckless driving / speeding, and he's asked for his license and registration and gives it to the officer, and then he rolls up his window. And the officer's knocking on the window, and he says, "You can't roll your window up." And Tyreek, you can't hear what he's saying. He is, you find out, on the phone in the car, so maybe calling his agent. He later said, I don't know if it was a separate interview with CNN or something, he later said, I didn't want to be seen and photographed.
Right.
Here's the deal. This is my opinion on it. It's an opinion-based format. I think this escalated to such a degree that it did not need to. And this isn't me being like, cops can never tell someone what to do. This is me telling you that, this did not need to escalate to that level. That it is possible to have someone, even let's say you don't like Tyreek Hill, it is possible to have someone who is a citizen that you're pulling over that is being rude, maybe a little dismissive, maybe not listening to you, maybe whatever, and that still does not justify kneeing that person in the back, throwing them on the ground, treating them as though they've got some kind of weapon. You know what I mean?
Right.
It didn't need to go from 0 to 100. It truly did not.
I believe the officer who put Tyreek Hill in handcuffs had him out of the car and in cuffs less than a minute after pulling him over. That's how
wild.
quickly it went from just simply pulling him over. Now, Hill's explanation being that he didn't want to cause a scene. He didn't want to make it even bigger than it needed to be because of his, celebrity status and whatnot. I do wonder if he had disclosed that to the officer, if the officer maybe would have been a little more understanding of the situation. Like, hey, buddy, this is going to get wild if you don't let me roll up my window, because then you're going to get unneeded, drivers who are taking cell phone videos. Like, this could cause even more pandemonium out here than needs to happen. But also, like, man, to go from pulling this guy over to having him in handcuffs just for a speeding violation
in a minute.
And then they cuffed Calais Campbell as well, and he was trying to de-escalate everything. He was trying to be a peacemaker in all this. It kind of reminds me of the Scotty Scheffler situation at the, I think it was the U.S. Open this year, where the police officer wanted to exert
felt disrespected.
Yeah, felt disrespected and felt like we need to restore order here. I don't care what your status is. You're still a citizen. We're still going to make sure that law and order is taken around here.
Yeah, I mean, people should be listening to you. You're an arresting officer, but they also have rights. And if he rolls up his window after you take his license and registration to call someone, you can tell him, hey, you need to roll down your window or whatever, but you do not need to escalate it that quickly. And also, like, context clues. You're pulling over someone in a $250,000 vehicle. Do you think that he's posing a risk to your safety?
There's a text on the 509.
Or is he just being rich and a celebrity and doesn't want to be,
There's a text on the text line from the 509. I'm not going to say everything that this person's saying, but they're basically using Tyreek Hill's previous history with law enforcement against him in this situation. And that's not fair in this spot, because it was a simple speeding violation. It was not, he's been arrested for domestic incidents before, but this was not that. The severity of what he was pulled over for and was placed in handcuffs for was nowhere close to what that situation ended up being.
No.
And, like, his past history with law enforcement should not be used against him here. Like,
no,
sorry.
you can use it against him if you're like, I don't like this dude and I'm not going to personally defend him. I don't care. Fine. But, like, the point is that you need to look at these isolated instances and say, would you have a problem with this happening to a random person? You probably would. You'd probably think it was a very quick escalation. Someone said Washington State Trooper here. It was a ridiculous move by Miami cops. It seemed very ego-driven by them to escalate it like they did. It's very easy to let dismissive people that you stop just roll off your back. And that's true. Tyreek was being dismissive. You could say borderline rude, whatever, but your response as a cop isn't to escalate the situation. The very, very difficult responsibility that you have, that you're entrusted with, is to, like this Washington State Trooper, be someone who just is like, I have an ability to let this roll off. It's fine. Like, I'm not going to escalate the situation when my job is to de-escalate.
Yeah, he was trying to win that arrest.
Yeah.
There's no winners in this.
Yeah, that's really not. Just a bad look overall for Miami-Dade. Packers head coach Matt LaFleur says Malik Willis will start Sunday if Jordan Love can't go. Take a listen to what Matt had to say here.
Yeah, if Jordan's not cleared, then we'll start Malik and Sean will be the backup.
What's the possibility, if you say Jordan's clear, what's the possibility of Jordan actually being ready for?
I couldn't give you a percentage, but if he gets cleared, we'll give him every opportunity like we always will. And I know he's doing everything in his power. I know he's spending a lot of time trying to get back as soon as possible, but certainly we're not going to put him in a position where if he can't protect himself that he'd go out there.
Again, I would go ahead and bet money Malik is playing for Jordan in this one.
That seems very likely. And the Packers, I mean, what do you think their ceiling is without Jordan Love? I think they are a team that you kind of wonder, you
the
don't
Packers without Love?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Malik Willis, he doesn't do it for me.
Well, no, but I mean, obviously, like a backup. I mean, I guess they hope that Jordan Love is only gone, 1 to max 3 weeks. He wasn't placed on IR or anything. It really is unfortunate. And in general, obviously, a bigger controversy to come from this is the playing surface at international games being built for soccer players in soccer games. and not for football players, which is going to continue to be a problem unless the NFL tries to, make sure that that's good. Like, you saw players slipping all over the place. I wouldn't say that Jordan was hurt specifically as a result of the field. He was grabbed by a defender, and it was a freak accident. But
yeah,
I don't know, certainly part of the story that come from this. Next up, Giants linebacker Kayvon Thibodeau may have some beef with ESPN's Jordan Renan. This is after he cut him off mid-question on Sunday.
I know that a lot's on you guys in the pass rush up front. Like, that's what this team's supposed to be built on. How much...
Anybody else got questions?
Kayvon, what happened? Why is that a big...
Go ahead.
What happened on that penalty?
I tried to convert. I think I kind of hooked his face mask.
So not happy to take questions there.
No, that Giants team is in a world of hurt right now. They are not having fun. And it's only been 1 week. Got blown out by the Vikings. It's going to be a long, long year for that Giants team. If that's how they're feeling after just 1 week of games, yikes.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get to what I need to know here. Get your questions in for what I need to know, 866-979-3776. Any question, text it now.
The Mike McDonald Show, the first word from the head coach after every Seahawks game.
How do you feel like you can manage that as D coordinator and head coach?
I have to stay present, especially when we're on defense. I got to put the defensive coordinator hat on, and then when we get into certain situations, you're kind of wearing both. Our defensive staff does a great job of making adjustments and talking to the guys and getting things fixed, and then I can kind of hop back and forth, but then, you're back to managing the game. If you're juggling, I think we can pull it off.
Don't miss the Mike McDonald Show the morning after the Hawks game at 9:30 on Seattle Sports.
Being out of camp this time of year, you get to see some absolute physical specimens, guys that have trained all summer to be in the best shape of their life. Now, most of us don't have that kind of time, energy, resources, or genetics to look like some of those guys, but we can certainly look our very best with a little help from Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. It's Mike Salk here, and I used that program last year to lose 35 pounds. That's right, lost 35 pounds, and it only took me 8 weeks to do it. Guess what? It wasn't that hard. It wasn't that painful either. Eastside Weight Loss Clinic devised a plan that was right for me. I ate real food that you buy at the grocery store. I lost weight, and I looked and felt my very best. Eastside Weight Loss Clinic is safe, healthy, sustainable weight loss. So schedule a free, no-obligation consultation right now by going to eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Just see if it's right for you. 425-588-0080 is the number, or eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Again, 425-588-0080 or eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today and ask about our trade-in sale. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
Ready to take your Seahawks game day to the next level? From pregame sideline passes to postgame field goal kicks, create unforgettable memories with friends and family this season at Lumen Field. Visit Seahawks.com/game day experiences to level up your game day.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my superhydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Welcome to Staples.
Hi, I need a printer for the office.
Staples has the best brands, like HP.
Well, I have some demands.
Oh.
Burton Sales demands it be fast.
HP's Office Jet Pro is super fast.
Megan Marketing demands color prints.
Check.
And Kurt the Controller demands I don't overpay.
With Staples hot deals, you get up to 40% off select HP printers.
Oh, great. My job can be...
demanding?
I was going to say a lot of fun.
Right now at Staples, save up to 40% on select HP printers, America's most trusted printer brand. Ends 9/28.
How would you like to have a brand new roof in time for winter? And even better, how about an honest local contractor known for their quality work? If you use Asset Roofing, you will have both. I can personally recommend Asset Roofing. Now through winter, if you need your roof replaced, make sure you get a bid from Asset Roofing. Get a free estimate now at assetroofingco.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
4 down territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
As a Washington State business, you can take advantage of Labor and Industries' no-cost safety and health consultation program. We can help you build out your accident prevention plan, meet safety obligations, and reduce your risk of costly safety citations. You can have us look at a single item or your entire facility. And consultations are confidential, which means you will not be cited if a hazard is found. You'll just need to fix it, and we can help you with that as well. There isn't a safety question we can't help with. To learn more, visit lni.wa.gov/consultations.
If your home's heating system is 10 years or older, it needs a tune-up. Your furnace and heat pump work extremely hard, and after 10 years, wear and tear can cause a failure. The last thing you want this winter. Deere Services is now offering a heating system tune-up with a no-breakdown guarantee and no service fees for just $49. A thorough inspection and recalibration for just $49. Visit DEARservices.net. Make an appointment, and we'll be there within 3 hours. Deere Services, Seattle Seahawks, small business partners.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
It's what I need to know. Get your questions in to the Mac and Jack's text line, 866-979-3776. We're an hour early with this one because we're going all Mariners at 1 p.m. with the dugout. What I need to know. Can the Athletics and Angels reasonably take 4 of 6 from the Astros this week, Curtis?
I mean, anything can happen, sure. Reasonably?
No, I don't think you can reasonably
I don't think you can reasonably say that the Astros will lose 4 of 6
Fortunately not.
to the Angels and the A's. I mean, the A's, they gave the Mariners a lot of fits in that 4-game series. And
That's a solid offense. They were, post All-Star break at the time, were like 23 and
Butler and Rooker at the top of that lineup. No,
Yeah.
thank you. But, I think the Astros are going to have pretty easy go of it over the next week.
866-979-3776. Get your questions in. What I need to know. Guy on the board. Are you into geodes, anime, Hot Wheels? What's your flavor of dweeb?
Yeah,
Matt, would you like to respond?
Definitely geodes.
What are geodes?
They're like rock, like crystals almost, right?
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
I
you
wish
a
that was my
witch?
flavor of dweeb. That sounds like so much more fun.
Geodes? Is this like a 90s thing?
Like amethyst.
Okay, this feels like
A geological secondary formation within sedimentary and volcanic rocks.
love rocks. Okay. Matt, what's your flavor of dweeb?
Star Trek, Star Wars,
Yeah.
Doctor Who, Marvel, all the boring ones.
Okay, Marvel's
So you're kind of a run-of-the-mill dweeb.
famous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm about as basic of a nerd as you can get.
What I need to know. Imagine Frankenstein combined Brock's huge forehead. Joke's on you, I have a huge forehead too. Maura's Pringle fingers, Stacy's horrible singing voice and her height. Why did my height get thrown in here? Bump's bald head, Bob's muscles. Oh, Bob gets muscles. And Salk's personality. What's the first thing you do as this 7'10" monstrosity? That's so rude.
What's the first thing I do as this monstrosity?
It says, what's the first thing you do as this 7'10" monstrosity?
I know what I do as just me. If this monstrosity came toward me, I'm running.
Okay.
I don't want any part of this.
Where are you going?
Setting it on fire like the real Frankenstein.
No. Brock's forehead, Mora's Pringle fingers, my singing voice and height. So it's tiny with long fingers, a huge forehead, a bald head, really muscly, and then just Salk's personality. So it's
abrasive. It's in your face.
Pretentious foodie is how I would describe. It's just going, you like jalapeno poppers as an appetizer?
What's the first thing I'm doing as this thing? Well, Halloween's coming up.
Wow.
You've got a costume ready, right?
How many ray guns are we going to see?
Oh.
Olympic
the limit doesn't exist.
Australia.
It's an easy costume.
That's going to be every
green
other
polo,
costume.
green pants, green hat.
And you get a dance.
Right. And dance horribly.
The fun costumes are when you get to have an activity with it. Like either you're fully in costume and like maybe you're a dinosaur, so you get to like run around. Like when it's not just a cop-out costume.
Right.
Like, oh, you have cat ears. Be whatever you want for Halloween. I don't care. What I need to know, will Deshaun Watson ever become the Deshaun Watson of old?
No. I think that ship has sailed. That ship has long sailed. I mean, he hasn't been what we know as the Deshaun Watson of old since.
He hasn't played 7 games.
Yeah, it was like the 2020 season, the last time he looked the part.
Yeah. Let's see what I need to know. Matt, who's your favorite doctor?
I'm going to have to take
Doctor
up
Who?
the rest of the segment with this question.
Ear,
I'm
nose,
very
throat,
sorry.
or okay.
Yeah, that's what it is. If we're talking the classic series, Seventh Doctor's always been my favorite. Big Sylvester McCoy fan. If we're talking the new series, it's either Matt Smith or Peter Capaldi.
Wow, Peter Capaldi. Blah,
Should we be
blah.
concerned with Ken Walker's ribs? I don't think so. Just as a general rule, the Seahawks do not let players who are injured speak at the podium.
He spoke at the end of the game.
He spoke at the end of the game, and he was the first person, like prior to Mike McDonald even stepping up, prior to any other player stepping up, Ken Walker hit the podium. He was asked about it and said, I feel fine, which a player's always going to say, but they would not let him speak at the podium if it was a serious issue. I'm telling you, that has never in my entire time covering this team happened. They keep players who are injured. Not only are you not allowed to interview them, but they don't make them available.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And, I mean, like, he looked fine. Like, yeah, I don't think there's any worry about Ken Walker right now. Plus, head coaches are not going to say a guy is a full go unless they're absolutely a full go. Like, they always want to leave a shroud of mystery for their opponent, especially when it's the Patriots and, things get kind of sideways when you're facing the Patriots.
What I need to know, JD in the 509 says, will Cooper Kupp be in the running for MVP this season? He looked great on Sunday night. That offensive line for the Rams needs to stay healthy.
Right.
As does Matthew Stafford. It's always a quarterback's to lose.
Look, if he didn't win MVP the year he led the league in receptions, yards, and touchdowns, he's not winning it.
It's kind of how I feel about Derrick Henry getting 2K.
Right.
If he didn't win it with 2,000, with being the best weapon on his team and one of the best, it's going to be a quarterback. Maybe I would give it to a wide receiver over a running back, because I just think, look at the way contracts are, the way superstar deals are being done. Like, there is a lot of attention being paid to these guys. Like, if CeeDee Lamb sets a record, let's say, he's MVP.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think Derrick Henry, like, there's a number he could have gotten to. I just think the years where running backs are, I mean, back to back with Sean Alexander getting it, and was it AP the following year?
LaDainian
Tomlinson. I just don't think we're in that league anymore.
Right. We're not going to see a running back run for 25, 26, 27 touchdowns.
253 pointing out a receiver's never won, but I just think it's more likely now than a running back.
You know what position has won MVP? A kicker.
Stupid.
It was like 1983 or something like that.
Who cares? Did that year even exist?
It was a strike-shortened year, so nothing about that season was very memorable, but yeah, I think his name's Mark Mosley. won MVP.
What I need to know, how hard is it to say Patriots, 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 Patriots? I tried it and almost lost a tooth. Already looking forward to it.
You're going to have to tune in Friday at 1:30 to hear. I don't believe we've ever done Patriots, Patriots, Patriots. That's one of the few.
No way.
That's one of the few game shows we have not done because I have all of my intros saved and I have not seen a Patriots, Patriots, Patriots one. The last time these two teams played was the 2020 season.
Maybe we skipped it.
That was the game where Marquise Blair and LJ Collier stuffed Cam Newton. Yeah, it was here in front of a fanless crowd.
What I need to know. Matt, don't call Marvel boring or I'll come and take your Deadpool keychain away from you.
No, I love that thing. It's too perfect on my bag.
All right, we're not going anywhere. We're going all Mariners from 1 to 2. Mariners insider Shannon Drayer joining us next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
You look at it, the Broncos scored 20 points. 10 of those are on the offense. Those 2 field goals, those are wins for the defense, considering where they started. Couldn't imagine a worse start, first 2 plays. Offense, Geno, O-line, keeping their composure.
That's what I saw from Geno. I was really surprised. And I looked down there with my binoculars. I expected him to be pissed off and screaming and yelling. And he was having a very calm conversation with his offense. So, yeah, kudos to Geno. No panic. That was key.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Did you know about the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program? You can get an $80 benefit card to spend at local farmers markets. Use it to buy seasonal fruits, vegetables, and honey. Just bring your new SFMNP card with you when you shop. When you make a purchase, the grower will scan your card. Then you'll confirm the purchase with your PIN.
You're all set. Enjoy those tomatoes.
Thank you, I will. Find participating markets, local contacts, and more info at seniorfmnp.com. That's seniorfmnp.com.
Key here is employee satisfaction. There is no expectation for customer satisfaction if the people that work with us don't feel taken care of and supported and loved. I'm proud of the Lee Johnson Auto family. I'm proud of our stores. And I need everybody to share in that mindset because it makes a better experience for the customer. It also makes it a better place to work. Walking away from an interaction with a customer that says, I can't believe how easy this was. I can't thank you enough for helping me. Receiving a handwritten letter that's personalized to a salesperson or a service advisor or a technician expressing gratitude, and then taking that home and sharing that with your family and hanging that on your refrigerator, that's the difference.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
At Shane Company, our engagement rings are the perfect blend of design, function, and beauty. Each one a unique work of art. We meticulously craft our bridal jewelry in our jeweler's workshop to the highest standards, expertly setting each diamond by hand, ensuring the structure is perfectly balanced, and sizing everything for the perfect fit. Shane Company offers a free unmatched lifetime warranty because your engagement ring is an heirloom that was made to last. You'll cherish your ring today, tomorrow, and forever. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. And you may see your favorite football and baseball teams wearing light blue towels, armbands, or ribbons. It's all in an effort to increase awareness of the second most common cancer and the number 2 cause of cancer death for males. Prostate cancer, when detected early, is curable. In Seattle, Swedish CyberKnife offers a non-invasive and highly precise treatment for prostate cancer. When other radiation treatments may last 6 to 9 weeks, Swedish CyberKnife treatment is typically 5 days, and each session lasts less than an hour. The system delivers radiation with extreme accuracy, sparing healthy tissue. The vast majority of CyberKnife patients experience minimal side effects and can continue normal activities during treatment. If you, a friend, or a family member is diagnosed with prostate cancer, consider Swedish CyberKnife. Go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
This Thursday's spotlight at Waterfront Park is Northwest Folklife's Super Folk. Come experience the brilliance, depth, and breadth of folk music. Thursday, September 12th at Waterfront Park on Pier 62. Celebrate the arts, cultures, and traditions that embody the Pacific Northwest. This free event is open to all ages, September 12th, 6 to 8 p.m. Seattle's new waterfront is being built for you. Come and enjoy it. Full schedule of events at waterfrontparkseattle.org. Brought to you by Friends of Waterfront Park.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Kraken announced a 4-year contract extension with defenseman Adam Larson. The Mariners back in action today after an off day. They'll open a series against the Padres at 6:40 p.m. Pregame show starts at 5:30 right here on Seattle Sports.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This is The Dugout, every Tuesday at 1 with Bump and Stacy. Inside access to the clubhouse from Shannon Dreyer on Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
We're going all Mariners from 1 to 2, getting things started with Mariners insider Shannon Dreyer. She joins us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hey, Shannon, how's it going?
It's going. How are you guys doing?
We are good. I'm going to start with, Shannon, a general look at the American League wildcard race. I expected for a while that it would be, okay, you win the West or you don't get in at all. And yet we've seen some teams slip. The Mariners are closing that gap with a chance to, if they don't win the West, get in with a wild card. Do you think it's more likely than it used to be that 2 teams from the West could make it?
I don't think the wild card is your best bet here. I think that if you look at it, you have teams that you're now tied with that have been in front of you, but you do not hold the tiebreaker with. So that's obviously a problem. So they would have to do a little bit more. Anytime you have to jump teams, that's a tough thing. I think the key is if they can get to within 3, and 2 would obviously be better by the time they get to the Houston series. I think that's their best bet. And this is the time of year, and it's hard because if you talked to me about 10 years ago, I'd be like, well, I don't know what these, rankings are saying and what these percentages are. I know what I see in front of me, and they look great right now. They don't look great right now, but if they did look great right now, I would think that, this is something that just can't be shown by the numbers and the percentages and the odds. The odds are usually right. So it's a pretty slim chance on the wild card side. Say that. In Minnesota, they are not playing well. They've got some key players that are out. You're hearing about problems there. The schedules, some are easier and some are not so much so, but it's just a lot to try and get through that. Your most direct path is in your division, and that's a tall order as well, but that is something that I feel is a little bit more in their control than if you look at the wild card, despite one being less than the other.
Shannon, over the last 5 games, Saturday's result notwithstanding, the Mariners offense has been pretty productive. They had the 16-run game on Wednesday, followed that up with a couple of 6-run efforts, and then put up a 10 spot on Sunday in the series finale against the Cardinals. Anything noticeable to you about changes made with the new hitting staff, with Edgar Martinez kind of taking over as the lead hitting coach? What are you seeing from the offense right now?
Well, you are still seeing some ups and downs. You do have the games where you have the big strikeouts, and game 2 in St. Louis was absolutely killer, where the offense was able to do nothing. But you're also seeing more games where you're seeing more hits on the boards, when you're seeing more runners in scoring position. You're not obviously cashing in on them as much as you would like to, but perhaps a little bit more. And one of the things that, and I'm sure this has been a big conversation on the radio this morning, I heard a little bit of it with Salk and Brock kind of getting into it on some philosophies earlier this morning, is in talking to players and talking to Edgar, in talking to Dan Wilson, the object on offense was just to simplify. And there's kind of a history there. And if you look at it, and this is something that, again, there's so many things that they're doing right now that I'm saying it sounds no different than what we were hearing before, of what they wanted to do, but it seems like maybe they are able to do it a little bit better right now. The Mariners, are a very analytical organization, and they look at, and all of baseball does, look at what the analytics have done for the pitching side, and what the biometric movements and being able to measure absolutely everything has done on the pitching side. And the hope is, well, why can't you create that on the hitting side? And the answer is simple: it's not as much in your control. And I think that what the Mariners had been doing as they got to a point last year, and the offensive numbers were much better last year, and they were doing not much different last year. It's not working this year, but they were doing the same things. They had the same philosophies. They gave the same numbers to the hitters. They had the same things available to them. They did make a little bit of a tweak when they brought Brant Brown in, and they kind of looked at it, and it's like, hey, they've done so well with this, we can take it a step further. And they did. And that's when you started hearing about things really kind of being overcomplicated, and perhaps hitters thinking about a little too much. And after Brant Brown was let go, they tried to simplify, and they tried to simplify, and they tried to simplify. And it for whatever reason, didn't happen. Bring in a Hall of Famer in Edgar Martinez. He sees things that are in the numbers, but you don't normally necessarily have to focus on those numbers. What you have to focus on is the swing. What you have to focus on, and these are things that are more controllables, is your approach. And one of the things that he is very, very much stressed, and we've heard it before, but perhaps he's doing it in a different way and putting more importance on it, is situations. When you get up to the plate, what are you going to do? What are you going to do in this count? What are you going to do in that count? And he's kind of broken it down to, and I talked a little bit with Justin Turner about this, and he said, he kind of simplifies it to, the at-bat is yours right up until you've got 2 strikes on you. Do what you want, do what you need to get to the hit. When you get to 2 strikes, then it becomes a team at bat, and you have to do whatever you can to get bat on ball or to get a lot of pitches out of that pitcher. And that is a little bit different. And when he's saying that, I don't want to be talking about launch angle, I don't want to be thinking about, where my hands are, that's something that they've noticed for some time with this group, is that they go up to the plate and they're not necessarily always thinking about what they need to do. They're thinking about how they're going to do it mechanically. And those are thoughts that should not be in a hitter's mind when he goes to the plate. And you think of players that have been kind of transitioning their swings and trying to find things. Julio Rodriguez, a good example right there. When he says that I don't want them to be worried about the mechanics of things, that's what he's talking about. You've done everything. By the time you step into the box, that should all be automatic. And you should be worried about, what's my approach? What am I looking for here? Where am I looking to put the baseball? And I do hear a little bit more up the middle and the other way. I think that is a little bit of a change right there. But when you look at, kind of taking away, and they call it the internal versus the external, and just kind of focusing on what you need to do in that moment rather than how you're going to do it mechanically, I think that perhaps has freed them up a little bit, and that is something that has led to more hits up on the board, perhaps more strikeouts, because they're not, I think, swinging at some of the things that they would have swung at before. They're not late on as many pitches because I don't think they're thinking about what their mechanics are. And I think all of that has added up to, we're seeing elevation in numbers that might not have led to a run, but have certainly led to more opportunities for a run. And it's a short time, and everything is still way too soon for anything definitive. It's small sample. But you do look at a little bit more balance in what they're doing offensively right now in terms of you're having, I think, more good days at the plate than bad right now, just breaking it down to the simplest thing. We saw it on the road trip. You know, you did see the games where they put up 16 hits. You saw the game where they couldn't do anything and back up an absolutely phenomenal performance by Logan Gilbert, but you're not seeing it as much.
Shannon, George Kirby gets the start tonight for the Mariners. His results have been all over the board his last month or so. Had a really good start his last time out against Oakland, striking out 9 over 6 innings in that 16-3 victory back on Wednesday. What are you hoping to see from him tonight that continues the success he had against the A's?
Just being a little bit more pinpoint with his stuff. I think that he has been so close, and he's talked about it's just a small adjustment for him. And other than a couple of starts ago, has not been very frustrated by it. It's kind of a little bit of a prolonged him not being able to do exactly what he wants to do up there. But I am just, hoping that you see what we have seen from him so many times. He knows what he needs to be doing up there. He knows when it's a little bit off. And sometimes it's tough to get to that spot where you don't quite have it. But he's at home. That's always a good thing with this group. He's in a good place mentally, which is fantastic. He's deep in the season and, does not look gassed in any way, shape, or form. So, I think we are just waiting for him to find that one little thing that has got him off in a situation or perhaps with a pitch, but he's close. We've seen some of the higher velocities with him. We saw that the last time out, which I think was really a good sign. And you're not talking about anything extreme. You're talking about probably 1 to 1.5 miles an hour more on the fastball. And that's just an indication right there that his mechanics are on. That is likely just because everything is smooth and working for him. And I think kind of reflective of what wasn't working for him before. So I hope that carries over into today.
All right, stepping away from actual baseball and talking about a player, J.P. Crawford nominated for the Roberto Clemente Award. The winner will be honored at the 2024 World Series. Shannon, you know J.P. well. Obviously, you're in this clubhouse and you've watched his growth and development on and off the field over the last several seasons. Can you tell us a bit about his work and why to you he was a fitting nominee?
This was fantastic. I was actually caught off guard by it. I found out a couple days ago, and it was embargoed, but there had been a story that I had been working on and wanting to do with him for a long time about some of the work that he has done off of the field. And I actually set it up with him while we were in Oakland to talk in St. Louis. And I don't think anybody at that point knew that he was the nominee, which is hilarious. So I'm holding off a little bit on it, but he has done so many things. And the release came out. There were things in that release that I didn't know. I was talking about something that was very specific, but you know what? That is J.P. Crawford, and we see it in the clubhouse and what he gives to teammates and what he gives off the field. What really jumps out at me is it goes beyond things that are presented to him that he can do, that he has sought out things on his own. And, they have great programs through Mariners Cares. The Mariners Hometown 9 is a very real thing and a mentorship program with the kids. And all you need to do is be there on a Sunday when they have the kids' days at the field and they have kids run out to the positions and stand next to a player at every position. And then right before they come in, they're just out there for a few seconds. The player will sign a baseball for them and they run off the field. 9 out of 10 times, the last kid to come off of the field is JP's kid. And you see him get down. He doesn't just, talk to them from up above. He gets down on one knee, one level, has a real conversation with them for as long as he can. We're talking, less than a minute, and signs the ball. And then you usually see a little bit more conversation before the child runs off the field. And that, to me, you see the interaction, you see the care that he puts in it. But he's been instrumental in the things that he does with Hometown 9. He has been instrumental in growing the game, which is something that he has taken on himself. And you might see it on his Instagram account, maybe in the off season, and some of the things that he promotes and what he's doing. But and then the one that I didn't know is I did not know the involvement that he and his wife and apparently some of the Mariners' families have had with foster kids, which is just, that just touches the heart and is so needed and such a huge thing. So everything that he does, he finds time to do these things. And if you have a chance to get online and vote for him, he is very, very worthy. It was, he goes well above and beyond in that department.
She is Mariners insider Shannon Dreher. Read her work at seattlesports.com. Thanks so much, Shannon.
You got it, guys.
You are listening to The Dugout. Still to come, Mariners broadcaster Gary Hill joins us in about 15 minutes. Before then, we'll talk with infielder Leo Rivas next.
This is Seattle Sports.
Throw downfield, wide open, touchdown, Seahawks, Zach Charbonnet.
Bo Nix throw picks.
Back in the middle, intercepted. And it's Rick Woolen who steps right in front of the receiver, Cortland Sutton.
Me, I'm just fast. I chased it down and should the ball in there, I caught it, and that was it for real.
Throws to the corner of the end zone. It's going to be intercepted. Getting his feet down in bounds is Julian Love.
We are the home of the Seahawks.
Now, you probably noticed the temperature starting to fluctuate, and that gets even more pronounced at night. Is your insulation ready for the upcoming cold season? Let me guess, you haven't checked. You're like me, you don't want to go into your attic or your crawl space. Well, that's why Crawl Pros goes where you don't want to. It's Mike Salk here. They came out to my house for a free inspection and found my insulation wasn't up to snuff. So they showed me pictures of the problem, explained it, and then they got it all fixed. Now, Crawl Pros has partnered with Puget Sound Energy to provide special rebates on insulation work. So if you're a PSE customer and your home was built before 1990, you may qualify to receive a rebate on up to 95% of the cost to properly insulate your crawl space and attic. Don't wait for the temperatures to drop. Take advantage of these enormous rebates today. Call Crawl Pros to learn what's going on behind that crawl space and attic hatch for free. Again, if you're worried about critters, mold, water damage, insulation issues, or anything else related to your crawl space or attic, schedule a free corner-to-corner inspection at crawlpros.com.
You're losing your hair and you want a simple solution that works, and you want the best. Modern technology, top-rated physicians, something that's guaranteed to work. Guys, you need world-class Dr. Parango and his team at Advanced Hair. Advanced Hair has completely redefined hair restoration, from the experience itself to the unmatched results. Receding hairline, bald spot, thinning hair. Get your hair back with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment that begins regrowing your own natural hair the very next day. Advanced Hair has changed tens of thousands of lives, including mine. And get this, they were recently crowned 425 Business of the Year. For your free consultation, call 425-449-8185. 425-449-8185. If you qualify, get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. 425-449-8185. Refine your hairline with a team that's redefined hair restoration. AdvancedHair.com.
This might be the most surprising statistic I've shared in decades of doing local news. More than 75% of commuters will be involved in a car accident at some point. JP Pendergast of Pendergast Law with more.
What makes it more surprising? The average person will be involved in 3 to 4 collisions in their lifetime.
With accidents unbelievably prevalent, what are some safety tips if it happens to you?
Safety first. Secondary collisions are not uncommon while awaiting help. Turn on those hazards and remain in a safe place. If a bystander witnessed the accident, capture their information and encourage them to remain at the scene. Seek medical attention immediately if needed, as delaying can be a costly mistake. Lastly, remember that statements made to police and insurance adjusters can affect your case.
Collisions are more common than we'd like to think. If you find yourself in one, follow these helpful tips and then call my friends at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one's injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
PendergastLaw.com.
You're listening to The Dugout every Tuesday at 1 with Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
All Mariners 1-2. You are listening to The Dugout. Joining us now, Mariners infielder Leo Rivas. Leo, how's it going?
Hey, how are you guys?
We are fantastic. Obviously, you guys had a nice little off day yesterday before you jump back in with a series against the Padres. What do you typically do on an off day?
Being honest, just try to rest all I can.
Sleep.
Spend some time with my family, but my family's not here right now, so I just try and rest, watch some series, movies,
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Leo, you have been an on-base machine since coming up. Really, that's a big part of your game. What is it about just your game and drawing walks and just finding a way on base that you enjoy so much? Because that's really been something you've been really good at ever since joining the Mariners organization.
Yeah, I always try, they always taught us as soon as in Dominican, they taught us, be yourself. So I feel like that's kind of my thing, just to get on base all I can. Like I always say, try to put the ball in play and run as hard as I can to the first, swing my pitch, So, yeah, I feel like I gotta do my thing for my team, though, to help the team.
Hey, looking back at obviously your journey from being in the minors for I want to say 9 seasons and then making your debut with Seattle, what was maybe the best and toughest part of that journey while you were kind of working towards your debut?
Man, it's a grinding, it's a grinding sport. I always say the baseball is not easy. And it's not for everybody also, though. You got to be prepared, on your mind, physically, everything. So, yeah, it's kind of tough because you see your friends making your debut, in less time than that, and you kind of, doubting in yourself sometimes. So it's kind of tough. Like I say, you got to be prepared every day. So it's a grinding. So I never quit, thanks to my wife, also my family, my daughter. They helped me a lot through all those 9 years. So, yeah, it's a grinding, man. It's a grinding sport.
For sure. Yeah, Leo, you had one of the more memorable moments of this Mariners season earlier in the year, making your debut on that Sunday, and your first major league hit is a triple. When you were envisioning your major league career growing up as a kid, did you ever think it'd get off to such a fast start like that?
No. Being honest, after those 2 strikes like that quick, I'm like, oh man. I wait 9 years to get to a strike like that quick. I spent more time in the under circle than these 2 strikes, So I was like, please don't strike out right now, man. Or at least get 2 more pitches and then strike out. Thank God I put the ball in play. And like I say, I just try to put the ball in play, run as hard as I can. And that happened in that moment, man. I'm just glad that happened, to be honest.
It was such a cool moment. Congratulations again for just having that, right? It's such a rare ability already to get to the pros, and then to have that moment be your first at-bat is just so unreal. If I remember correctly, I think Eugenio Suarez you met at third. Do you remember what that exchange was like?
Yeah. I met Gino year ago, I think, in spring training. He's the man. He always cared about Venezuelan people, man. Yeah. And for a second, I never met Gino before that, so I'm like, man, I don't know if it's Gino. He's a good person, that kind of vibe. But I never met him though. Thank God I met him, and I regret about everything I was thinking about that time. He's the man. He's the man. He always take care of me on spring training. Even that game before the game started, he was talking like, man, just enjoy your game. Enjoy this day because it's going to be in your mind for all your life. Mm-hmm. So enjoy it no matter what happens. Enjoy every moment. And after I got that triple, he was like, man, I'm so proud of you. You grind every year. You grind all your life for this moment. Just keep fighting, man.
That's awesome.
That gave me some chills about that. Yeah, that gave me that moment. I was like, chills. Oh, man, don't make me cry right now.
He's such a good dude. He really is. I'm so glad you guys had that exchange. It was so cool to see.
Yeah. He's a man.
Leo, you talk about the closeness of you and your fellow countrymen from Venezuela. Have you ever had any interactions with Felix Hernandez? He's from your home country?
No, never. Never, though. Never. I never saw him. I love him how he pitched on his years, but I never met him. I I want to meet him sometime, one day at least.
Yeah.
Well, you can brag to him that you have the lowest ERA of any pitcher on the 2024 Mariners. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah.
You're the only guy to throw a pitch for this team this year that is not allowed to run.
You're our best guy.
Do you brag to the guys in the clubhouse about that?
Yeah, and then he told me that day. I mean, he went like, "Hey, Leo, I mean, I think you're gonna pitch today, though. Are you ready for it?" I'm gonna pitch just if you call me Ohtani Jr. And he went, "Hey, Ohtani, are you ready to pitch?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, And after that day, I'm like, "Hey, Carson, you know what? I think I'm better than my father now, I on my career for now, I have not allowed one run, so I'm better than Ohtani right now, I say."
Honestly, yeah. And I'd look around the pitcher's room and be like, "Look, no offense, Logan, but if you need advice."
Yeah, you giving pointers to the guys now?
Yeah, they always tell me that people. I mean, hey, you need to do your bullpen today, man. You do your shoulder program, all that stuff. Yeah. I'm like, yeah. Sorry, I'm late to the bullpen. They always joking about.
When was the last time you had pitched before coming in that blowout game?
No, I mean, last time I was in Little League though.
Oh my God.
And being honest, I was that pitch like 1 inning, like 2 inning maybe, and that's it. I never pitched that series before yet.
And you didn't lose it. You want that's the coolest part.
Yeah, I was more nervous, being honest, that day than my debut though. I'm like, oh man, here we go. Just throw strikes,
Well, you excelled with both. It was a wonderful two-way player. It's really impressive.
Yeah,
the Dodgers have Ohtani, but we have Leo Rivas, and that's pretty amazing. Leo, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Leo.
Oh, that was funny.
It was, yeah. 1 inning of shutout relief. He did it. He's the only one to do that.
It's crazy. I mean, you wouldn't realize that one of the best arms in the bigs is Leo Rivas.
Right. There was a hole missing on this team when Luis Torrens left, because I believe Torrens picked up a win, if I'm not mistaken, in relief in an extra inning game. So you need that guy that can go both ways. And Leo Rivas only needing 11 pitches, by the way, to get out of that 8th inning against the Tigers back on, August 13th.
Take that, Ohtani. What have you ever done?
Yeah, Ohtani's giving up runs.
I mean, is he 46,
except for
46?
He might get a 50-50 season, which has never been done in baseball history.
So stupid good. He's not Leo Rivas, though. All right. The Mariners Spotlight's presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort and by Pacific Lamp and Supply. You are listening to The Dugout. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. Still to come, we're going to take a look around the league and a look at Seattle's upcoming schedule, including a couple games here against the Padres beginning tonight with a series opener. First, though, Mariners broadcaster Gary Hill joins us next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Saul.
That was the best defensive performance I've seen from the Seahawks in at least 5 years, and I think it's probably longer than that. And there's no doubt that having a rookie quarterback making his debut on the road, all of those things help.
You still have to make him miserable.
That's right, and the Seahawks have not made anybody miserable. Yeah. Some of the guys that have torched the defense in the last 5 or 6 years are terrible and just as bad as Bo Nix. And they made him look ridiculous.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up! and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular's single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
For over 111 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington. From the Space Needle in Seattle and now all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist you with any lighting issue, as well as help with intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting expert since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
How would you like to have a brand new roof in time for winter? And even better, how about an honest local contractor known for their quality work? If you use Asset Roofing, you will have both. I can personally recommend Asset Roofing. Now through winter, if you need your roof replaced, make sure you get a bid from Asset Roofing. Get a free estimate now at assetroofingco.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
I'm attorney Rob Iddens, proud Marine Corps veteran and owner of Warrior Injury Law. I'm a 5th-generation Pacific Northwesterner, graduated from UW and Seattle U School of Law. At Warrior Injury Law, we have years of experience in the trenches, fighting insurance companies for the people of Washington, my people. If you've been injured, you need a lawyer that is tough, confident, and battle-tested. Call us at 253-WARRIOR for your free case review. Warrior Injury Law, battle-tested.
Eddie's!
My wife and I always loved doing everything together. Jiu-jitsu, kayaking, and intimacy was always on point. It was around my early 30s when I noticed a downward trend. Watching a lot of TV, putting on weight, and just full of self-doubt. I had tried another men's clinic with disappointing results. It's the personalized treatment I receive at Revive Men's Health that has been the complete game changer for me. I've got my energy and motivation back. I'm feeling stronger than I did in my 20s, and it made me a much better husband to my wife.
This is Dr. Andrew Ellishouse of Revive Men's Health. If you're always feeling tired or moody, or your sleep is poor, you have low libido, you may be suffering from low testosterone.
Book your free T-check and exam. Call Revive Men's Health Seattle at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Hey everybody, Bob Stelton here for Johnson Fitness and Wellness, where I got my home gym. Now the difference? Their expert staff. They ask great questions like, what are your fitness goals? What kind of space are you working with at home, and what's your budget? Johnson Fitness and Wellness experts get you the right machine for your home gym dream setup. And right now, in-store only while supplies last, mention this ad and our listeners get an indoor cycle for free with Select Force USA Home Gyms. Shop stores in Bellevue, Tacoma, Linwood, or visit johnsonfitness.com.
You're listening to The Dugout every Tuesday at 1 with Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
It is The Dugout. Joining us now, Mariners broadcaster Gary Hill on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hey, Gary, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing fine. How are you?
Good. Ready to jump back into a series here. Mariners had an off day yesterday. We're looking forward to getting a few updates, maybe seeing how Castillo is doing, taking a listen to more about hitting. But what I wanted to start with you was just a look ahead to this particular series against the Padres. Tell us what you're watching for in this one.
Well, it's obviously a big series given where the Mariners are at. They need every possible win they can get. And although it's a brief two-game series, the Padres provide a massive challenge. They are a good team that's playing well. They have put themselves firmly into the playoff scenario given how well they've played. They have a team full of shortstops. Their entire lineup is they're all shortstops, but they can hit. So the good thing for the Mariners and the positive is they have been one of the best teams in baseball at home. They have a top 5 home record. It's Jekyll and Hyde between home and road. And the timing's great because they need a great homestand. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here and what should be a really interesting and entertaining series.
Gary, looking ahead to the pitching matchups that we're going to see over the next about week or so between the Padres and Rangers. Darvish tonight, Michael King on Wednesday, Kumar Rocker making his major league debut on Thursday, and then probably Jacob deGrom making his first major league start in a while. Max Scherzer potentially on Saturday. That's a lot of really good pitching talent this Mariners team is going to have to go up against. How do you see the success that the Mariners offense has had faring, at least in recent days, going up against this run of pitchers that they're about to face?
Yeah, I'll also say there's a lot of unknown in that stretch too. For a lot of the guys you just listed, we have no idea really what it's going to look like. There's a lot of good stuff in there, but how long will deGrom go, and how good does he look? And Rocker making his debut. There's so much unknown to me that it's really hard to project. I will say it doesn't feel like, when you look at kind of this next stretch, it does feel like they're going to get a lot of bullpen in the mix one way or another. These guys aren't going to go 7-8 innings for the most part. So you try and hold your own against, especially deGrom, who I'm thinking of mostly. You try and hold your own. Your starter keeps the game close, and then you try and do some damage against a bullpen that's not great. That's kind of how I look at these games. And honestly, the reason the Mariners have been so good at home is their starting pitching has been historically good. They have the second best starter ERA since 2002. Only the 2016 Cubs have a better starter ERA at home than the Mariners do this year. This is a team that won the World Series. And I can only go back that far. That's why I can't compare it to anything beyond 2002. But it gives you an idea of what they're doing. In fact, the on-base percentage that starters allow at home is the best since 1910. So it's pretty absurd what's happening. So I think asking your starters to go toe-to-toe with any other starter is a realistic ask.
Hey, I do have questions about hitting and questions about some recent comments from both JP and Edgar. But before I get to that, Curtis and I, Gary, just spoke with Leo Rivas, who is hilarious. And he obviously he spent 9 years on the minors before making his MLB debut. I mean, what a grind, spending almost a decade in the minor leagues. You make your debut, you get a triple in your first at-bat. He also was forced to show up in a pitching appearance for the Mariners and has an ERA of 0. So he joked, "I'm better than Ohtani right now." It was a really fun interview. And I just think he might be one of the more a lighthearted story that I really appreciate from this season. We all know that one of the big stories for the Mariners season is the pitching's phenomenal. Is there another one of those stories, though, that either has gone under the radar, maybe an interview you loved, or just a storyline that you thought, this is kind of fun, and in light of all the frustration that's happened this season with things about this team, I really loved either this interview or this person or this story?
Yeah, that's such a good question, because I think baseball, more than any other sport, lends itself to stories like this. And the Rivas story is phenomenal. And, that grind is real, and it is really hard. And you never really know. There are guys that we never hear of that spend 10, 11, 12 years in the minors that never make it. They never get that moment. And I don't know what Rivas' career will hold or what he'll end up being. Maybe he'll spend the next half a dozen years in the majors. I have no idea. But at the very least, he will always be a big leaguer, and he will have those moments that he had this year that he will have with him for the rest of his life, which I feel great about because so many guys don't get that. And, I think about the team this year. Colin Snyder, for one, is someone who really jumps out, someone who has had cups of coffee in the majors and who has struggled in the majors. Another former Royals reliever that has come here and has had big success. And he's had massive success because you think about the plan A for the Mariners bullpen this year that was basically blown apart before the season even started. Munoz has been solid in the back, but outside of that, they've kind of been searching. And it's funny, as we're in September, that the eighth inning guy is Colin Snyder, who came over from the Royals, who was in the minors this season, who made some adjustments to what he's doing, and he's been great. And the seventh inning guy is Troy Taylor, who last year was in Modesto, right, and spent a lot of this year in Arkansas. And he's another great story as well. He wasn't a high draft pick either, and he's made his way through the system and is making a big impact. So Victor Robles is another great story, I think, and somebody who's going to be here for the next couple of years. Another guy who he was in baseball limbo. He was DFA'd, and in that circumstance, you don't know what's going to happen. You may never see the majors again. And not only did he see the majors again, but he got himself an extension 70 days later, which is pretty remarkable. So there have been some great stories this year despite the frustrations.
Gary, the Mariners just 3 back of Minnesota right now. Their deficit in the wild card is smaller than it is in the AL West, but there are more teams between the Mariners and Minnesota than there is between Seattle and Houston in the AL West. So which of the 2 paths to the playoffs do you think is more likely for the Mariners? Winning the division or managing to sneak their way into that 3rd wild card spot?
So I think the wild card, because you need help, and it feels like, at least as we're here right now, who knows, it's more likely that Minnesota plays poorly the rest of the way than Houston plays poorly the rest of the way. The one thing that you do have is you have 3 more games against Houston, and you can take care of that on your own, and you don't have that against Minnesota or really anyone else in the mix. And the other problem with Minnesota or Detroit or Boston is the Mariners do not have the tiebreaker against any of those teams, and they do have the tiebreaker, at least right now, against the Houston Astros. So there are some things that make the West more likely, but to me it's the wild card because Minnesota is not playing well. They have really struggled. They were swept by Kansas City in their last series. Now they're a good team. They could win 7 out of their next 8, which makes it impossible to pass them. But these struggles could continue. I mean, for all we know, they could lose 15 games the rest of the way and really keep the door wide open for everyone else. And part of their struggles has been injury. They have a lot of guys in the IL right now. So there's not a big mystery as to why they're struggling. So how healthy will they be the next 2 weeks? I don't know. And their schedule's not easy, I would say, the rest of the way. They have the Angels for 2 more. Reds have been pesky. They have them for 3. And then it gets really tough. They have Cleveland for 4 and Boston for 3. And that's one to circle, too, because, as we know, the Red Sox and the Tigers are also in the mix with the Mariners. So somebody's got to lose those games. But I lean wild card, but both, they're going to need help either way. And they're going to have to play great. Either way, that's what has to happen.
All right, Gary, unfortunately, I don't have enough time to ask you about an approach to the plate, but that's okay because I still have Curtis here, and so I'm going to talk about that with him coming up next, but we have to let you go. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Gary.
Anytime. I can't wait to hear about Curtis and his approach to the plate. It's going to be great.
It's usually with a fork and a knife.
No, Gary, don't laugh that hard. Don't laugh. No, Matt's losing it too. No, Gary.
Everybody.
He is Mariners broadcaster Gary Hill, kind enough to join us on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Are you proud of yourself,
I
Curtis?
am. I'm very proud of myself.
It wasn't bad. I mean, Matt was losing it back there.
He was.
He's still laughing.
Great.
Do you think that was better or worse than when you asked whether breakdancers in Australia spin the other way?
Yeah. That one was an all-timer. That was one of my best.
Bump lost it for that one.
He did. And it was a gradual derailment of the show.
My favorite part of Bump losing it for that
joke.
one was that he was offended I didn't laugh harder. That he had your back so quickly. It was like, I thought that was so funny. Did you not get it? All right. Well, I said that I wanted to ask Gary about some of JP's comments and what we heard from Edgar, and obviously I didn't get to. But I know that you have thoughts on this, and so we'll revisit some of that sound, and I'll ask you about that coming up next.
This is Seattle Sports.
Thrown downfield, wide open, touchdown! Seahawks, Zach Charbonnet.
Bo Nix throw picks.
Back in the middle, intercepted. And it's Rick Woolen who steps right in front of the receiver, Cortland Sutton.
To me, I'm just fast. I just chased it down, and to the ball in there, I caught it, and that was it for real.
Throws to the corner of the end zone. It's going to be intercepted. Getting his feet down in bounds is Julian Love.
We are the home of the Seahawks.
Sure, you can fill up at any gas station, but at any gas station, could you score 2 tickets to a Seahawks game? Sure can't. So head to a 76 or Conoco station and turn your next pit stop into a touchdown. When you buy 8 or more gallons with the Fuel Forward app, you can enter to win 2 Seahawks tickets. Next stop, Lumen Field. See official rules for details. Valid July 29th to December 15th, 2024. Copyright 2024 Phillips 66 Company. All rights reserved.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yes. You just need to send them a text.
Text EDGE to 321321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now, and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help get you back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text EDGE to 321321. That's EDGE to 321321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Good morning, Doctor.
Doctor?
Hi, Doctor.
Doctor?
Dr. Jackson's practice is growing.
What do you mean we're still short-staffed?
He needs a good patient doctor.
How do we not have enough doctors to doctor all these patients?
And he doesn't have the patience to sift through hundreds of resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
If you're looking for fun, breathtaking views and outdoor dining, Snoqualmie Casino's the place for you. It's Mike Salk here for Snoqualmie Casino. No matter if it's a meeting like I've done, a night out with friends, a big date night with my wife, I know Snoqualmie Casino has it all. Plus, they open their outdoor dining, so come enjoy dinner overlooking the beautiful Snoqualmie Valley. 12 Moons and Vista Prime Steaks and Seafood offer outdoor dining, so grab a seat and dig in. You can browse the menus at snocasino.com. It is Seattle's closest Snoqualmie Casino. Please game responsibly.
By the time this radio ad ends, another vehicle will be stolen somewhere in the United States. Help keep your car safe with these simple and important tips. Don't leave your car running unattended. Park in well-lit areas. Lock up every time. Keep valuables out of sight. Use an anti-theft device like a steering wheel lock. Share this information with friends and family. Prevent the theft and keep yourself and your vehicle safe. These tips are brought to you by the Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority.
Looking for fine jewelry this fall? Good news! Seattle's favorite jeweler for more than 40 years now has 2 locations in the area. Come visit us in our beautiful new store with the biggest selection at South Center Square in Tukwila. Create your own engagement ring with the widest range of diamonds and gemstones and discover unique, fine jewelry designed by our in-house team. No matter your budget, our friendly team is here to help guide you in finding that perfect piece that speaks to you. Visit ShaneCo.com to find your closest store and hours. We can't wait to see you. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
You're listening to The Dugout every Tuesday at 1 with Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
It is The Dugout. Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. Let's get back to talking to Seattle's approach at the plate. Curtis, you have a few numbers that we talked about much earlier in the show. We've been seeing some offensive improvement for Seattle. What have you spotted?
We have, yeah. Over their last 16 games, the Mariners have a top 5 on base percentage, WRC plus, and total walks. They're also 11th in baseball in K rate offensively, and they've got that batting average up to 242, which, I mean, 242 is not amazing or anything, but it is better than what it has been, which has been around like 216 for most of the season. So strides have been made over the last couple of weeks when pretty much everything that we knew about this Mariners team changed when the decision to move on from Scott Service at manager happened, and they brought in Dan Wilson, brought in Edgar Martinez as the hitting coach. Things are looking a little different than what we have seen over the season. Very positive results, and that's led to a lot of discussion today and really in the last couple of days just about what is the correct approach to hitting. What is the correct approach? Because, I mean, we know that this Mariners front office, this Mariners scouting is very data-driven. They have really driven that home over the last few years. But in talking to Edgar Martinez that we about a week and a half ago now, he kind of had a different message. And there was also a different message that he shared with, I think it was Daniel Kramer of MLB.com, or was it in the Seattle Times, just kind of re-emphasizing those points he made on our show. Where,
Seattle Times.
Yeah, where it's kind of like, okay, this is a much different tune than what I would say Jerry DiPoto and his staff have really been championing over the last few years.
So I did not play this sound earlier. It's from that interview Edgar had with us. He was asked what's changed the most in hitting since he played.
I think the sabermetrics and some of the metrics that, analysts look into and have kind of make the players kind of change the way they swing. This is more uppercut, thinking about the launch angle, and a lot of the hitters tend to be more to the pull side, and in the past was pretty much using the whole field. But the rest, it's not a lot of changes. It's just a lot more mechanics driven than what it used to be. Now it's a lot emphasis on mechanics.
Edgar said, we didn't keep track of a lot of current sabermetrics when I played. It was just much simpler to go hit. If I see paralysis by analysis one more time on the text line, it's such, and that's not, I'm joking, obviously. I say that because everyone's always thinking it when it came to this team. Everyone was thinking the same thing, which was, is it too much? And we all knew, sabermetrics are important. Analytics are important. These are things that front offices, very successful front offices, use to build World Series teams and to project what hitters are going to do and to help fine-tune approaches. These aren't things that paralyze front offices or hitters per se. But for some reason, something isn't working here. So before I play the JP cut, I wanted to actually get back to a little bit of what Shannon said to us. She said, look, they actually had a lot of the same approach last year, and they were a better offense. Something clearly changed at some point this year. Maybe it was the way Brant Brown was giving information. Maybe it was a different group. Whatever it was, it's not like the Mariners, entered into 2024 and they were like, sabermetrics, here we come.
Yeah.
It was always there.
Right.
So what might have changed this season?
I mean, the biggest difference in my mind is the change in terms of who was doing the messaging, and that was Brant Brown in the season's first couple of months. And that didn't get through to the guys, at least results-wise, it didn't get through. Maybe it did mentally with a lot of these guys, but it was clearly something that the Mariners saw, and they needed to rectify that situation quickly because Brown was out of a job, in May? We didn't even see him make it past. It was 40 games or something like that. And so a quarter of the season, you're already making a pretty swift change in an important coaching position on your team. So I look at that as a big change. And then, what you did with the roster this offseason, you got rid of Suarez, you got rid of Teoscar, two guys who did strike out a lot, but in getting the other guys who you did to bring in here, their at-bats they have not been as competitive as what Gino and what Teoscar Hernandez did, even with the strikeout. So you lost a big chunk of your power, a big chunk of your run driving in ability, and you did not get that trade-off in a lack of strikeouts. So I think those are the two things right now, is that the at-bats haven't been as competitive, and then also when you added Brant Brown, maybe it did complicate things. One other thing, too, another example of the Mariners trying to simplify things this year was early in the season, they got rid of all the iPads in the dugout. They were like, this is too much information. We don't need all this.
Yeah.
And I do kind of wonder if that's them kind of stripping things down to the studs and being like, okay, let's reset.
I'm actually really glad you mentioned that, because what I don't want to convey is that the Mariners knew there was a problem and made no efforts to fix it. It was very clear all season long that not only did the Mariners enter knowing that they would have some questions offensively, we just didn't know that it would be Julio Rodriguez. We thought it would be a platoon at third base, and we'll see whether or not Mitch Garver can deliver with some pop. Mitch Haniger, he looks so promising. Early on, it was like, wow, how cool to have Mitch Haniger back. He's really bringing some power. And then it ends up being Julio's worst year, a down year for JP.
Boy, yeah,
you know
that's
what
another
I mean?
thing too.
Yeah, but
no one accounted for Julio having a down season.
And that regression was a huge part of the reason your offense as a whole regressed as well. But this team, whether it was under Scott Service and now under Wilson, they are doing everything they can and have been doing everything to try to figure out what the issue is. And that's what's made this season, as someone covering it, simultaneously frustrating as a fan and fascinating as an analyst, maybe, is to just say, like, well, what are the things they're trying? Like, they tried very early on, like you said, to simplify the approach. Why didn't it work? You know what I mean? Like, you tried it. And so I say this all because JP came out and said, look, once we went back to simplifying our approach at the plate, we really started to get back on track. That is not the first time this season they've tried to simplify, but what's different now? Like, I wish I could have a completely unfiltered answer.
Right, and you give some truth serum to guys on this 2024 team. Like, what was it that finally clicked here in early September that wasn't clicking in April, that wasn't clicking in May or any month prior to September? And that's not to say that the Mariners have this figured out. We're talking about a very small sample size. We're talking about a tenth of your season, 16 games over a 162-game schedule. You're seeing a decent uptick in offensive production, but it's not nothing. I don't think you can say, oh, you can brush this aside and be like, oh, well, it's just 2 weeks worth of production. It's like, no, we haven't seen this kind of sustained production at all from the Mariners this season. Their longest win streak this year, I believe, is just 4 games.
That's insane.
Like, they have not been able to string together anything.
I'm not expecting 14.
Right. No, that's not.
That was cool.
But a 6 or a 7 game win streak here or there. Yep. 8 games, who knows? You get hot. But yeah, this Mariners team just has not been able to string together anything for a sustained period of time. So when you see something like this over a 16-game period, that's got to mean something, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
I mean, you either try to figure out what it might mean or you ignore it completely. Those are your two choices. So if you're someone that says, I don't really care, too small a sample size, I've given up hope, then that's where you are. If you're someone who thinks, well, maybe they tweaked something just enough to stay alive in the AL wildcard race or in, for that matter, the AL West race, well, then this season just got a lot more interesting.
Yeah. So, and like
3 weeks to play.
Games? Yeah. They got 9-game homestand.
3 against Houston.
3 against Houston, 3 against Texas. And then, so like 20 games left?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will be watching every single one of those, beginning with today's game against the San Diego Padres, opening up this series at 6:40 p.m. first pitch, 5:30 p.m. pregame show right here on Seattle Sports. This has been The Dugout.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
You look at it, the Broncos scored 20 points. 10 of those are on the offense. Those 2 field goals, those are wins for the defense, considering where they started. Couldn't imagine a worse start, first 2 plays. Offense, Geno, O-line, keeping their composure.
That's what I saw from Geno. I was really surprised. And I looked down there with my binoculars. I expected him to be pissed off and screaming and yelling. And he was having a very calm conversation with his offense. So, yeah, kudos to Geno. No panic. That was key.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, Accurate Auto Body.
If you've been in an auto accident, you have the right to take your vehicle to any repair facility. Accurate Auto Body has been family owned and operated since 1994, and they work for you, not your insurance company. Your insurance company may not love them, but you will, because
we meet by accident, fixing every last bit, Accurate Auto Body.
Paid for by government. Did you hear? A secret hoard of 1932 $10 gold Indian coins have been found. These gorgeous 1932 gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck, and less than 500 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling the secret U.S. gold coin discovery a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you can own a piece of the hoard. When you call, you are guaranteed a 1932 dated gold coin featuring Lady Liberty with an Indian war headdress and a majestic eagle. With limited availability, you must call now. These 1932 dated gold coins are still in uncirculated condition with brilliant luster. That is 92 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800